There we go, guys. What a night. Thursday nights. Boy, I'll tell you. You know, we're trendsetters here on CrossFire. That's what we are. We're trendsetters. You know, we did a show on Friday. Now we do a show on Thursday. Everyone's going on Thursday. It's going to be it's just a great night for podcasting, period. That's just the way it is. It's the industry. You guys may know, you may not know. The Indiana Jones and the Great Circle embargo released at 7 p.m. Eastern. Very interesting, very odd, but me and the mag are going to get into it. I want to say welcome to everybody, guys. Outstanding to see everybody here. Jay Barry, what is up? I see you out there, Archwar Angel. Pardon me, Ocelot, my apologies. JST 2013, Olamoka, Mary Wilcox. You guys, great to have you here. The great Jimmy Harrison who's listening. I know that. I know that's for sure. Guys, take a second. Please do hit that like button if you will. Underneath that outstanding description right there, you'll see the join button. That's how you get your name in lights. That's how you get that green name in the chat. Appreciate each and every one of you. By the way, shout out to Mash also for the amazing amount of memberships he's donated to the channel over the years. Outstanding. Great to have the great Mash here with us. Guys, got a great show for you. You're seeing me and Mag are here now, and I'm going to introduce the Mag in a second here. But we got the great Crap Gamer coming. Hopefully, Brap is able to make it. Okay, we'll see if he's able to make it. And the great David Faulkner is going to be joining us about 30 minutes late as well. And a few other special guests that might be popping in on the second hour. That being said, I'll introduce the one and only, the great Mag himself. Mag, you know, yes. Tonight we're really going to pull one over on the audience because they don't know me from you. Okay?
Yeah, that's right. We're just going to go back and forth, but nobody say any names, all right? We're not going to say our names. We're just going to keep going back and forth, talk the same, act the same, say the same thing, and they go, who the hell's talking?
They're going to think we have echo on. You know?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm glad to be here. And yeah, I'm glad to be the only one here. A bunch of scumbags that can't make it on time. I got to tell you, I don't understand what's going on. But anyways, I am going to be, as we're doing the show here, I'm going to be scouring the internet here and trying to find all these reviews that's going on. But I got to tell you, spoiler alert, folks, they seem pretty damn good.
Oh, all right. What do you have right now? What's the late breaking right now, guys? We are going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle right now. You know, here's the thing. My question though, Mag, as we scour and get reviews that are coming in, is where was the hype for this game? I only saw it a couple days ago and today.
You know, the weird thing is this game should have gotten if this holds.
Yeah.
If these and the thing is, reviews at this point, when you get those first initial 20 reviews, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean?
That's
like
right.
You know what kind of you're getting the sites that, like, for example, if it's a PlayStation game, you know, the name of the website is PlayStation Forever, it's in my blood.com, right? And then if it's an Xbox game, it's going to be called Xbox is the greatest thing to ever hit the planet. You know that they're all going to give the games 10 out of 10s, right? So I always ignore the first 10.
You have to.
Then you have to ignore the perfect scores at the top. But then if you see a trend, if it trends downwards and you see that, you know, it starts moving down or stays the same, you're like, all right, this is a legit game, this is a legit situation.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, and we'll obviously dive into this on the Xbox Series consoles, there are 22 critical reviews right now. The Metacritic is 88.
Wow.
That's based on 22 reviews. Now the PC is sitting at 17 reviews, and it's got a Metacritic of 87.
Okay, consistent.
Oh, no, sorry, we're up to 19. So it's high 80s right now, and it's pretty damn positive. Like, I'm not looking at the Xbox centric sites. I'm actually looking at other legitimate, like third party critiques, and a lot of them so far, it's all coming up as generally favorable, and only about 2% are sitting at the mix. There are 0 negatives so far. So this is going to be kind of like an election night. We're going to just keep, as the show goes on.
Yes.
As the show goes on, we have a live update from the Metacritic.
Live.
We're going to keep going with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we see The Verge. The Verge has claimed that they're settling in at 85. Yes, The Verge at 85.
Yeah, exactly.
Lock it in. Yeah.
And we can have the CNN thing go.
No,
it's like Trump has won Pennsylvania. Anyways, VGC just gave it 100.
Wow.
Eurogamer just gave it 100. This is, I'm shocked, to be quite honest. Gaming Trend gave it a 95. Those are the three big ones that I've seen.
Crossfire can confirm that the VGC is giving it 100.
We confirm.
Were you wise? GameSpot gave it a 90. This is actually,
Crossfire
I was expecting
right
about
point that
80, 83. 85 maybe. I did not expect.
I had this at an 80. I had it at an 80. That was my guess. But what have I seen besides the trailer we're seeing on screen right here? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. You know, like this, I don't think we got from clearly. I mean, I'm reading these reviews right now. I wasn't given a fair representation of what this clearly is. Like, I mean, listen to the song. I'll just give you one quote here from VGC. A genuine old-fashioned Hollywood blockbuster. It's also incredibly rich adventure game stuffed to the gills with secrets to find. 100. That's I'm actually at a loss for words. I didn't think it was going to score this high. So hey man, it's great. Hey, listen, I'm not disappointed. Some people be like, "Oh, Mag sounds disappointed." No, I'm not.
Not disappointed at all.
You know what? The more good games, the better, right? Because the only people that win in the end are us. Because you know what? We own everything. We see everything. We're able to access everything. So you know the thing is, to me, more games, the better. And you know what? That lights fires under the other competitors going, uh-oh, they're releasing some great games. Time to step it up, folks. So that, you know what I mean? So they're going to have to get out there and do the same thing. And this is great for the industry if this holds. And you know what? Once you have those initial reviews, like I said, I can't see it dropping more than about 3 or 4, maybe 3 or 4%. So I'm going to think maybe it might settle at like an 86.
85 to 86 sounds about right. And I mean, that's a great score. Yeah.
That's a pretty big score for a new IP.
By the way, do formal introductions here. Shout out to the Wise Old Gamer and the Great Crap Gamer, both coming. I see that Wise, you must have joined Crap Gamer in his limousine. He comes naturally 10 minutes late, so you must have enjoyed the pre-show.
Well, who in the hell driving the limousine? That's me. I had to take the hat off. To go and change.
That's great.
And then, of course, Crap, fucking has McDonald's bags everywhere. So I got to clean up that shit in the back seat. So there you go,
Oh, yeah. Gotta eat something.
He's eating right now.
Motherfucker's a pig. That's what I'm saying. He's a pig.
His mouth is full, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That is great. No, this is great. I'm seeing a lot of videos popping up.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about Indiana Jones. It's sitting at about an 87 right now, Crap.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much. Ars Technica, to feed off of what Mag was saying is like, you can't really go off of numbers. Numbers are bullshit, right? But you need to look at those individuals who you sort of trust with their reviews and read reviews or listen to reviews. Like, for example, I'm a huge Skill Up guy. I'll listen to every review.
Yeah, I listen to Skill Up too. Yes.
Right. And Mr. Matty plays, and I'll make my decision from there. Like, okay, for example, Skill Up did not like unequivocally Veilguard. And I didn't play Veilguard because of that fact. I didn't buy it day one because he didn't like it, because he's the type of gamer that I am, right?
Yep.
Skill Up is my go-to when it comes to reviews.
Same here.
And he's basically, I mean, he's like my spirit animal. The guy speaks to me on all the games. Every game that he recommends has always been fantastic for me. So you're not wrong, Wise.
Right. Now, Ars Technica is like that for reading for me. Like when I read a review, I read Ars Technica's review because they don't come at it from any sort of like bias or anything per se. And they are usually very reluctant to give a game a high or favorable review. And Ars Technica, I do not remember the score, but they gave it in the 80s as well.
Okay.
And they said that there were some issues with like technical issues, which they don't know it will be ironed out by the day one patch or not. But they said for the experience-wise, it's an open-world Indiana Jones game through and through. So if you ever wanted to relive your fantasies of playing Indiana Jones in a 3D environment, open world, this is it. And
that's great.
Me totally stunned. So yeah.
That is this is actually great news to hear. I mean, I'm glad it's doing well. The things that had me a bit concerned in the first-person aspect, the whip and the fighting actions looked a little wonky from what we saw. I don't know what you guys think about that. Apparently, that doesn't seem to have affected the critics and the reviewers. The voice acting looked amazing. When we saw that one drop that they had in the last Xbox, I'm calling it an Xbox showcase that they had, I actually sat back and enjoyed the storytelling that they were doing. The thing I'm wondering is, reviews are one thing, but Crap, we were talking about this because we watched the show together. We aired that together, okay? We aired that together live. Like, Crap, the thing about it is game being great, awesome. I can't wait to play it. I grew up watching Indiana Jones. So did you. So did Mag. And so did Wise. The thing is what about the people that are between the ages of like 20 and 35 that are like, I've heard of him. I've not really watched the movies. Will the story resonate with them as far as getting sales done and getting that out the door? Is that something you think, or it doesn't really matter? the squirrels sell it.
I think they probably have a target audience on who they were interested in playing the game.
Mhm.
Like, didn't the game release to the early people today?
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
tomorrow. So
no, tonight.
that's usually
That's probably they
a
did that
bad.
bullshit again. They
Well,
did
no,
that
wait.
bullshit too.
Wait,
you
it's
get
not-
the game 3 days
Yeah,
early.
there's an early. You can
It's
get it 4 days.
man.
It's
early or
I
something.
think it's tomorrow, Mag, isn't it?
No, I think it's tonight.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
but-
wait a minute. All right, so my apologies. So you're saying 12 midnight tonight.
No, I actually hold on. I got to check right now. Let me
I
check-
could
let me
have swore
check
they
this.
said that.
See,
it,
that's
it-
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like, so originally I thought, okay, well, they're holding back reviews. That's usually not a good thing for games. You know what I mean? But I'm glad to see that it's getting some positive traction there. I'm curious because I'm going to read into the reviews to see if it's really positive or if it's just one of those things where developers really like certain things nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking for Indy to be the hero, to be the guy, like he was in the first 3 films.
Mhm.
I don't want him to be like the half-assed, need help, kind of
Right.
clumsy goofball where, some woman has to save him or all the time or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting too political or anything, but I'm just being honest. Like, I want to see the
I
hero
think-
be the hero.
I
The
think
man
with
wearing
Troy
a kilt.
Baker, with Troy Baker in their crap, I think it's going to be a traditional indie game, a traditional indie movie.
And to his credit, man, he nailed the voice, right?
He absolutely nailed
did
it.
a good job with it. So yeah, I mean that's really cool. And Xbox needs some wins, like this
They do.
is nothing but
They
good.
really do.
I don't think, like, I don't know who it was speaking earlier, was like, oh, it helped come. I mean, this game's coming to PlayStation 2. So I mean, it doesn't help where maybe you would want it to help. Maybe it would if it wasn't coming to PlayStation, or if they didn't announce it as a one more thing, big Gamescom announcement, right? Like, if this thing scores almost 90 and it was just on Xbox and PC, people would be like, holy shit, maybe it's time to get an Xbox. Right. But instead, people are just gonna, wait for it to come to PlayStation.
You see, I think, Mooch, you're asking the wrong question here.
What's that?
All right. Okay, the question you're asking is it a good game, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if it's a good game. First of all, I'll tell you from a 15-year-old perspective, because I have a 15-year-old.
Mhm.
He doesn't give a flying shit about this game. Honestly, he doesn't.
Right,
He doesn't even know who Indiana Jones is, so let alone
same thing.
he doesn't care about this
kids
game.
feel the same way. Yeah, I hear you.
Now, that being said, a good game is a good game. So if this game has longevity, which we're hoping it does, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it comes out and people are like, wow, this is a really good game.
That's where I got to, but see, that's where I got to stop you. You used a bad example. You started good,
Well,
you ended soft. You can't, because Guardians of the Galaxy, the 15-year-old in your home loves Marvel, loves Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's going to rope them in. What I'm saying to you is, this looks like, you look at it, you can see the gameplay that's going on right now. This is gameplay from what they showcased. And you can see it's like 2 fists up, block, punch, block, punch, block, punch. It almost looks like those ring bots we used to have back in the day. So, like, is this what would get your, if the story's not getting them there, and that's not, that's a question I'm asking. Now, myself personally, I know this is indie, and I can't wait to play as Indiana Jones. But that's the thing I'm wondering, does this resonate with a younger crowd?
No, but what I'm saying is that it's not a matter of whether this is a good game. This has to be a good game because of the direction Microsoft is going.
Okay.
We had Mag on this past Black Friday, and he mentioned something that this is literally all the gameplay that Xbox is using right now is the only gameplay left in their repertoire. They lost the console war, so this is how they're going to have to stay profitable. They got to put their games on all platforms. That being said, they can't afford stinkers anymore. Because they're now competing on PlayStation. They are competing with other games that are of a higher ilk or of a stronger ilk. So it is not good enough for this game just to be good. This has to be better than good because they're trying to make a sales pitch to a PlayStation consumer. So that is the question you need to be asking. Is it good enough for a PlayStation player to plunk down $70 on the first day?
So Andy Hart's asking, says, does the panel think Indiana Jones is Xbox's Uncharted? Andy, I think that's quite a leap. But I don't think it has to be.
No, it doesn't have to be. I think this is a one-off game. I don't think they made this with an intention of a franchise. However, money talks. So if this game really takes off on the PC and Xbox, and then I would assume early quarter 2 for 2025, it comes out for PlayStation. And PlayStation 5 and the Pro. If it does incredibly well across the board, you watch how fast magically every other plans get scrapped for a sequel, right? Because all of a sudden they're like, forget Wolfenstein. Get Indiana Jones, let's get another one going.
That's right.
I mean? Because you're going to have to wait and see. That's how it is with movies as well, right? Look at what's happening right now with The Batman. The movie itself did good, not great. It did good, right? Just enough to scrape by with a little tiny bit of profit.
Yeah.
And then they're like, listen, we're not doing a second one, this and that. Then all of a sudden, Matt Reeves comes out and goes, guess what? Here's the Penguin, and flops his situation on the table, and everybody goes, whoa! Look at the size of that thing. And the Penguin was an absolute hit. Now the studios are going, maybe we should think about that Batman 2 now, right? So, you know what I mean? Like plans change depending on, of course, on the financial situation. If this game takes off, and only time is going to tell, then you're going to see a sequel. Absolutely. And then I could see what they could do. Every 3 or 4 years, they release another product. Just go with it because, but it still has, regardless of great scores, it's going to have to prove itself now on the battlefield. Speaking of which, the game is available right now.
Oh, it is available right now on Game Pass.
It's available at exactly 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. It is available for purchase. You have to buy the premium edition, which for the Americans, it's an extra $30. For Canadians, it's an extra $46 with the conversion.
Oh, it's not on Game Pass till what? Monday or Tuesday?
It'll be on Monday, the 9th. Yes, on
that's
Game
how they
Pass.
try to get the money now, Mooch. Right? They're like,
yeah, that's bullshit.
We better, if we do the early 3 or 4 day access, a lot of people.
They're doing the same fucking thing with Avowed, and it pisses me the fuck off.
Crap! You sound like you're podcasting from a different room.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
There you are. Thank you, Crap.
My bad, man. I was stuffing my face. Like I had the mic up. So yeah, there we go.
I got a question about this.
I think that they did the same thing with Forza Horizon 5, and it was successful.
Yeah.
So that's why they're continuing.
I don't think that
they're like, you know what?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to hit this. I don't think they're going to hit that successful note with this doing that.
No. I don't think so. But I'm saying, it worked for that one. But you know what they do? What they do is that they're able to scrape up money that they weren't going to be able to get from the Game Pass subscription, right? So like, let's scrape up as much as we can from the early access.
Hey, good
and
scores
then
might help.
Right? They will.
It definitely helps. Absolutely.
Can they come out and start talking instead? You know what I mean? Like really come out and show some serious advertising. Like put it on walls.
Exactly.
Why isn't there a giant pyramid in Hollywood right now that they just like a pop-up pyramid, and you have an Indiana Jones theme thing going on where you got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why isn't Harrison Ford's face on the Sphere in Las Vegas? Like
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Get it out there.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
And if you've got a game that clearly is scoring well, get it out there. And then you want to keep that hype going, because if it does, like I said, if it does well, you want that hype going into the PlayStation launch, because the PlayStation players, if the game is great, they will buy it. So, it's a situation they need to jump on now.
That's
Their
interesting.
controller is pretty nice, though. Have y'all seen the controller for?
No, I didn't see it. No.
It's a solid gold controller, akin to what they did for C-3PO back in the 360 days.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also have
there's other numbers coming in wise. Just to hear, shout out to Marsh. He says that just to read what he said here. He said, I guess, kind of funny. Gave it a 6.5 and a 7 from Greg in Paris. So
Paris gave it a 7.
Well, that's what Marsh is saying. I didn't see this, so I'm shout out to Marsh, guys. If somebody can check, give kind of funny the clicks and go check it out. I absolutely. I don't know. I have no idea.
I was watching the podcast this weekend, and he was pretty favorable because they had him on the kind of funny Gamecast.
ACG is saying wait for a sale. Says modest Blaze. Now, guys, I haven't seen this. I don't know. I'm just reading what the chat's saying here. It's hard for me. I can't.
Down to an 86. 86. I repeat.
I can't watch these and do the show at the same time, so I'm take these with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that's what these folks did, but it's interesting to see because we are seeing. The thing I question though, Mag, are the hundreds. I question hundreds across any game.
Mooch, what did I say at the beginning of the show?
I know, but the ones that you said were hundreds. The Eurogamer? Did you say Eurogamer gave it 100?
That's the one that shocks me.
That's the shocker.
Really,
that's unbelievable.
Really
yeah.
And VGC Eurogamer both gave it 100, and then IGN gave it a 9.
Wow.
So those are pretty big outlets. That's what shocked me more than anything. But the thing is, I usually ignore the first 10, and then because those are the ones that are like it doesn't matter what side you're on. It could be like Nintendo is in my blood.com, and they'll give everything Nintendo releases a 10. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know what's interesting?
Okay,
the lowest score is from Pure Xbox, which gave it a 60. And
that is
they
odd.
said, yeah, that's a little bit weird, right? They said they're disappointed with the final product. The overall experience isn't bad, but that it successfully sells Indiana Jones, but that the gameplay elements just don't match up to the vibe, and that the pacing is bad, and their open stealth levels don't work in context of an Indiana Jones game. So I mean, that's it. I was worried about the stealth too, because I heard that there's a lot of stealth in this, right? And like that to me does not scream fun. I hate stealth.
Yeah,
and
I'm not a big.
Look at like
I'm not a stealth fan.
Star Wars game,
Yeah,
right? Didn't it got like trashed because it had a lot of forced stealth in it?
Yep.
And people don't like that stuff,
Well, think about it though, Crap. Here's the thing when it comes down to it. First of all, I agree with you. You know this. Me and you did reviews back in the day of Thief. I didn't like Thief. I don't like games that are predominantly like stealth. I don't like that stuff. I actually thought I was going to... A lot of people are saying Deathloop. Don't forget, Mooch. Deathloop got an 88 overall rating and it didn't do very well.
Oh, God, that game was awful.
That was tough. That was a tough playthrough.
Yeah.
The thing
I never even played that shit, Mooch. I was like...
That was...
Crap, don't even waste your breath talking about it. It was
horrible. I do agree with Ron Slusher. He says never go by someone else's rating. Play the game yourself. Ron, I do agree with you on that. I really do. Marsh says kind of funny live said review the review he was watching just before he came in here. He says I was just watching the review. They said combat is very mid and the zone was not fun. Finished the game in 15 hours. Well, 15 hours, by the way, I would not discredit that. I think 15 hours is plenty long. I mean, I know a lot of you guys like the 100, 200 hour games. That's fine.
There's also the other topic.
No, not crap. Not crap.
Into the other topic, doesn't it? There you go.
Ain't nobody got time for that shit.
No, Wise, go ahead. I took the mic from you. Go ahead.
No. I wanted to say that Cobriel on Twitter has listed all the ratings. Games Radar gave it a 5. Tech Raptor gave it a 10. Digitech gave it a 5. Saving Content gave it a 5. These are
like 5 out of 10.
5 out of 5.
No, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. Okay.
Yeah, 5 out of 5.
DGC gave it a 5 out of 5. Gaming Trend 95. IGN 9. Xbox Era 9. GameSpot 9. Shack News 9. Gaming Bolt 9. Game Rant 8. But why though? 8? I don't even know what that was. And 7 for CG Magazine. So OpenCritic is 87, Metacritic is 86 right about now for both games, for that game.
Yes. Metacritic is what?
86.
Okay.
OpenCritic's 87, Metacritic's 86. I don't know the difference between the two. So.
It could settle probably around 83, 84, somewhere around there.
I don't think it'll go that low, Crap. I really don't think. I think you're looking at an 85, the lowest.
Very good score.
That would be the lowest.
Very good score.
That's very good.
Listen, this is really good. Again, this is like the kind of stuff that you were hoping for. You had like in my fantasy world before all this Xbox on PlayStation stuff, it was like, okay, the way that it was lining up was you would have had, Forza Motorsport, which had a 6-year cushion to make a great game, and then their game was only average, right? Starfield, that was going to be like the game of the millennium, but it released too early. It was a good game for sure, but imagine if they actually released these games the way that most people envisioned them, man. That could have led to Xbox sales, Game Pass subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. Because in my world, it would have been. It was like you had a chance to go 3, 4, 5 games getting 90+ rated potentially.
Yes.
Right. Because I thought Starfield would get there. I thought certainly Forza would get there. Hellblade 2, that game was an 80. The first one was an 88 on the Xbox. So why wouldn't 2 up the ante? But 2 ended up being just kind of the same thing, really, or maybe even a little step below, because the combat was only 1-on-1, whereas the last game allowed you to take on multiple people. So I thought, that would have been, I thought Starfield, Forza, Hellblade 2, those were going to be 3 90 rated games leading into stuff like, I thought for sure, I'm not a flight sim guy, but those games, that last one scored a 91, but this one was broken at launch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you have Indiana Jones, I was like, that. I figured that Machine Games was do good stuff. I figured that would do good, and I figured Avowed would do good. But again, because people know that these games are probably headed to PlayStation, it doesn't really help Microsoft at all.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up, Crap, first, because, you know, Mag, you said something, and the thing about it is, first of all, I don't think you'll see another Indiana Jones game, by the way. I don't think you'll see one, even if this does well.
My gut was that it's a one-off.
It's a one-off, but
like I said, you never know.
No, you never know.
Sounds good.
But let me ask a question. This company was developing, and you probably know more about this than I do, Mag. This company was developing the next Wolfenstein. Did they just put that on the back burner, or did they just cancel it altogether?
That was only just rumored. They never confirmed that they're doing another Wolfenstein. They said they would like to do one, but they've never confirmed that they're doing one.
I thought that was not wrong.
I thought there was something out that they said after the Young Gun. What was it? The Young Blood or something? Wasn't that was the last one? Young something.
When they do these when the studios do their work, and a lot of people that I talk to in those studios, they do say that a lot of what they do is that they get all the concept work in. Right, and then what they do is that they didn't prioritize what they want to move forward with. Right, so when they say they're working on, if I'm going to do air quotes on, off the camera here, is that working on means they're doing the concept art, they're putting it down, they're doing storyboards, they're, you know what I mean, they're mapping out the games, whatever else, and then from there they have the committee that sits down and decides. They have the board that sits down and says, okay, what are we working on, what do you think is going to be financially feasible, how much is it going to cost, whatever else, right? So as it stood, this game got pushed forward after during the discussions of Bethesda being merged with Microsoft, right? So that's what they ended up doing is putting a little more money towards it. Once Xbox acquired them, they put more money towards it in order to push the development forward faster and get it out there because they wanted the game for Game Pass.
Well, see this, but here's the question. Also, this is a company that makes good games. They don't make stellar games. They make good games, solid 80+ games.
They're fun, like the Wolfenstein games. I have a great time with. I mean, they're wacky, they're weird, they're whatever, but they're sound. Quality games. Like I enjoy them all. The only one I did not like is which one is it, Mooch? The
most recent one was
in the 80s.
Oh, you mean Infinite Dragon? No,
it was with the daughters. The one with the daughters.
Yeah, it was basically the spin-off of it.
Right, yeah. I thought it took place in the 80s, but maybe I was mistaken. But either way, yeah, that one. That was not very good. And that reminded me of remember when Far Cry 5 when they released the DLC?
Yeah, the DLC. Yes.
Yeah, oh, that was terrible, right? But the main game was fantastic. This is the same idea, but generally speaking, they actually do really sound games, right? So, this I think mechanically was going to be good, was always going to be a decent game, whatever, but I did not expect what's going on right now. However, what we really need to see, and this is something that we have to just have a little patience with, is got to get those gamers who are playing the game. And I'm not talking about the reviewers. And of course, obviously, I know a ton of people who finished the game already.
Right.
Whatever else, right? And I do trust those people. You know, I do the show with Colt. He finished the game on the weekend. But, for obviously embargo reasons, we did not discuss these things. But still, the point is, I want to see what the mass population is going to think about it, right? Once it gets into Game Pass and you get people playing it, I'd like to see the engagement. I want to see my friends list, like even when I go on PC or if I'm on Xbox, I have thousands of people on my Xbox. And I could scroll down and I could find out exactly how many people are actually playing the game, and how many sticking with it, how many people are putting hours into it, whatever else. Right?
That's right.
So it'll be very interesting to see. Very interesting to see.
Well, what do you guys think? So Crap brought it up. I mean, do you think that this, if the scores definitely help sales? I mean, the thing with Xbox is I think a lot of people are going to be waiting for Game Pass for this.
Game Pass,
right?
Yeah, the score is going to help people to like download it and go, okay, well, I'll try it on Game Pass. I don't think it's going to particularly lead to a bunch of sales or anything, or like Steam. Like I would say this game's probably going to do in line with numbers that you would see with I'm just going to throw it out, like that Dragon Age game, something about that, 75,000, maybe less.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be. I have like a huge hit there.
I kind of feel the same way, and it's that's not, again, it goes back to more of, does the public know about Indiana Jones? And I know, Wise, you your statement makes so much sense 99% of the time, but when you have a situation like this really resonates with the fan of Indiana Jones, and that really is this panel, and a lot of people in the chat too, by the way. They are well aware. They grew up when we grew up, and they know exactly what Indiana Jones is. But like you said, with your kids, my kids, They're not even
They
talking
don't
about
care.
Indiana Jones.
They don't care.
No.
Now they'll go back and play it if I say, "Hey, it's a really good game. You'll enjoy it." But they'll play it in the vein of another.
Don't let your kids watch the two newest.
No,
Indiana
of
Jones.
course not.
heck
Crap.
no.
No.
For God's sake.
No. No. No.
Jesus, don't think he's some fucking weird pussy or something. I don't know, man. Like
No,
some
but
kind
here's a
He's
question.
100. Crap.
Let me
It
ask you guys
doesn't
a question.
matter. Like, still, it's like Mooch, and I've mentioned this before. Like, I'm a Star Wars fan. I wanted to see the Star Wars characters, the old ones, go on one last ride together. I mean, if they're going to go out anyway, let them go on one last ride. Don't make them into a bunch of chumps.
Yeah.
The way that they did. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
And please
Hollywood.
don't have the emo guy off of them, or please don't have the emo guy off them, please.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Hollywood's all about like tearing down the heroes, and especially male heroes, right? It's like, hey, let's emasculate all these people, and make them these people who grew up with these characters just absolutely hate it, and that's where Star Wars is at, and Indiana Jones, unfortunately.
I think Indiana Jones being a little bit different. Crap, they should. You literally had Harrison Ford in like a wheelchair that last movie. Like that was just not. I mean, at that point, I'm like, what are we actually doing here? Like, you have to. I recommend watching the first 3 movies.
Absolutely. 1 and 3 in particular.
Yeah, 1 and 3.
Like 2 is a little aberration in my opinion, but I don't know. It's okay.
But let me ask you guys a question. How much do you think this game got dinged because it wasn't a third person over the shoulder game?
Well, it doesn't sound like it got dinged at all.
It doesn't.
Well, yeah, I don't think so either. And I also think that in fact it helped it, because if it was third person, people might just compare it to Uncharted straight up.
Uncharted, yeah.
So the way it is now,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, it's its own thing, which, hey, they stuck to their strengths. I mean, you can't really blame Machine Games for doing that.
Right.
I originally, when I heard Machine Games, I was like, so you're going to go around shooting shit like Wolfenstein with a Indiana Jones skin, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought originally, right? So it's nice to hear that it has its own kind of things. I'm going to give it a try.
I'll give it a shot as well.
Yeah.
In regards to his
it's back up to 87 on Xbox. Hey,
Jesus,
there it goes.
Yeah.
In regards to Indy's character, this takes place in between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade.
Yes.
So he is in the height of his, you know what I mean? Of his powers, so to speak. Right?
Yes.
So I don't want to see an understated, like a Crystal Skull and
bitch made Indy. Right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you're gonna see. I don't think you're gonna see that. Listen, you guys all watched the Xbox showcase. They showed it was almost like 10 minutes. It felt like. And that was traditional Indiana Jones, I thought.
I want to see the
smiled?
swashbuckling. I want to see the swashbuckling. I want to see the loud and proud, whatever. I want to see him stand. I'm going to pretend Crab did not say what he said about Temple of Doom, the most misunderstood of the movie of the entire.
It's not terrible. It's just not my favorite one.
It's not my favorite one, but it's. I thought it was pretty damn good. Crap, actually.
You know what?
I mean, sure, it's got short rabbit stuff in it. It's almost like a horror movie, is it? It's like, I don't know.
Well, Lucas said, he goes, I want to make the second one a Pulp Fiction movie. And by Pulp Fiction, not the Tarantino movie. He was talking about pulp books from the 80s, which was all about supernatural, horror, and adventure all mixed into one. If you went to like The Shadow, people like that, or The Maltese Falcon, that's what he was going for. And that's why it was so sensational and crazy, is it was supposed to be over the top, right? And a lot of people misunderstood, saying, oh, it's an over excessive 80s sequel. But anyways, in that vein, I want to see like the kind of Indy that was in that movie where he's screaming, it's like, hey, Molaram, prepare to meet Kali.
That's right.
In hell.
That's right.
That's what I want to see. And speaking of which, Wise, my racist joke of the day, do me a favor, in celebration of this game, can I have you dress up as Molaram for Halloween? And
I can dress up as Kalibah if you want.
Yeah. And can you say that? I need you to do I need you to do the line, man. The big line from Molaram when they're on the bridge, and he says on the bridge, and he goes, "You, Dr. Jones, are not in a position to negotiate." So
you, Dr. Jones, are in not position to negotiate.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm so appreciative of it.
Great to have Wise.
Anyways, in all seriousness,
this
is what
Asian dad accent. There you go.
I know.
Hey, this is great, man. I got to be honest with you. I really was. I'm shocked, and I'm shocked in a great way. This is awesome, because this is really, really good news. That if the game really is what the reviewers are saying, and I haven't gotten a chance to digest it all, again, because we're doing the show right now. Shout out to Marsh and a few others that are telling me they're like, Mooch, Marvel Rivals has also gone live. which is
I hope that game kills Overwatch, to be quite frank about it.
What is it now, Crap?
I said I hope it kills Overwatch.
Oh, I'm listen, anything with Marvel generally does quite well. Right?
You guys are going to have to tell me how it plays. I'm not going to open that. I'm not going to open that hornet's nest unless I really have to. So
why do you say that?
You guys get good recommendations.
Why you just don't like the gameplay or the way that the
No, because I'll get addicted. That's what happened with Overwatch. So yeah.
Oh wow. Oh jeez.
I have 2 kids. I have a wife. I have a job. I have 3 jobs. Actually, I can't afford that anymore.
Can I ask a question? Is it a free to play or
yes.
is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's free to play, and the one thing that Marvel's is doing that you guys can say that you're against, which is fine. I respect that. I really, really do. They have a battle pass, but take it from me, guys. You guys know this, right? I play way too much Call of Duty. That's fine. You guys can destroy me for that. That's fine. But when you buy the battle pass, you have, I never look at it because I usually complete it. It's usually you have like 55 or 60 days to complete the battle pass. If you don't, you do not reap the benefits of what you essentially paid for. Right? So Marvel Rivals has come out and said, if you buy our Game Pass, there is no timetable. So if you decide to buy the first battle pass because you like what the end result is at whatever, level 100, let's just say, you could take 2 years to get to level 100, and you'll get everything.
Halo Infinite actually did that.
Yeah, Halo did it as well. Yes, they did. Give credit where credit's due. That's right. Yes.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So I think that's something a little different. I don't get, you say you get addicted to it, Wise. I don't think you get addicted to it. I think you'll be fine. I didn't get a chance to play the beta. I didn't get a beta code. So I'm kind of interested to try that this weekend.
Okay, so someone in the chat said, sorry, I don't have my second screen on right now. So it's available now to download?
Somebody said it's available now to download. I don't know if that's only on PC or that's PC and PS5, Xbox. I don't know. But I would assume, I just saw.
I'm going to check right now.
Hey, shout out to Death Singer if he's listening to the show. Death Singer, I saw you go live playing Marvel Rivals, by the way. We'll have words after the show.
Yeah, well, he's playing it right now.
He's playing it right now. Yes.
Instead of PlayStation.
Instead of crying about PC, he's
I wanted to get. I was, it's funny because I was gonna. I was gonna bring up the PC specs for Indiana Jones. They're quite intense. Had you seen those?
Yeah. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I mean, I don't play on PC.
The minimum.
Good thing I had a PC player.
The minimum card. This is not the full ray tracing.
Out the best version of the games because I could play my PC and Sabida with this RTX 2080, and I get the best of both worlds, guys. Yeah, I can just.
You can get a 5090 and get 324.7 frames per second.
You know what's funny? Now that we're ribbing the poor guy, with Mooch, you invited me on the show about 2 months ago, right? And you asked Death Singer a question, and he didn't hear you. He didn't answer, so there was like a bit of silence. So I stepped in,
yes,
and I just said, "Well, the PC is." I tried to imitate his voice, right?
Yes.
Well, the PC is the greatest thing ever. This and that.
Did he hear you?
No. But what was funny is I went back and I saw the comments section after the show, and they go, 1 hour, 3 minutes. Who the hell was making fun of Death Singer? Was the funniest thing.
Listen, I love Death Singer. I love him.
Death Singer, I know you're listening. Dude,
I know he's listening. I know Death Singer is listening.
You know what? I got to tell you something. The guy's got balls. Got balls. You know why? Because people are busting his chops left, right, and center. They leave nasty comments, whatever. He shows up every week.
Oh, he's great.
Does the show, and he does it.
You can't affect Death Singer. You cannot affect him. Listen,
you are a rock.
But here's the thing. The thing I like about Death Singer so much is that he loves what he loves. He sticks by it and he defends it. And it is what it is. Listen, you enjoy whatever you enjoy. That's the whole point. The point I was going to bring up here was we always talk about what minimum requirements. This one's saying for the minimum graphic card requirement, it's an RTX 2060, and that's for the standard rendering requirement, not the full ray tracing. Full ray tracing requirement minimum on the full ray tracing is an RTX 4070.
Jesus Christ.
That's a very demanding. Shout out to Jay Barry and a few others. I see Corey as well saying Marvel Rivals is live.
I'm downloading it now.
I'm downloading it now. If I'm going to stream it tomorrow on my channel.
There you go, guys.
Do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to play this game. So it's downloading right now, Mooch. It's available. But listen to this: the reviews.
Yes,
there are 10,000 player reviews. I'm assuming it was from the beta.
Yes,
it's sitting at a 4.88 out of 5.
Yes,
on PlayStation.
That is one hell of.
Is that PlayStation or PC?
PlayStation. No, I'm on the PS5 Pro as we speak.
Okay,
I just turned it on. because I got that screen on and I have the Xbox on the other screen.
The PS5 Pro, by the way, Marvel.
You guys are gonna have to forgive me. I'm a math teacher, so I go on tangents all the time. So there you go. I got a tangent to go on. Have any of y'all noticed your PlayStation Portal running better with the PS5 Pro?
Yes, it does.
It does.
You know what? I got to tell you, that $199 purchase was probably one of the finest purchases I've ever had.
Yeah,
it's been incredible. I was just like, wow, that's something. That is something. Oh, by the way, I have a little bit tidbit of news for you guys.
Please.
Portal. I've gotten word that the PlayStation handheld will be released in 2026.
Really?
2020.
Yes.
So that's interesting because I didn't have that as a topic, but I do want to talk about it, Meg.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
No, it's fine.
Sabotage that.
No, buddy. It's CrossFire, and it's listen, we're 3 weeks before the holiday. Okay, 2 weeks before the holiday. Like, this is, there's not a lot of news, so this is great. This is outstanding. 2026 surprises me, though. I mean, they've said that it's going to have the capabilities of playing PS5 type games, so that means it won't interfere with the PS6 launch. Then, as far as the capabilities of a PS6,
it will not interfere with the PS6. It's going to be a PS5 Pro. Looks like handheld, not a PS6.
I would agree with you, but
maybe obviously there'll be something when the PS6 comes out. I don't know that information. I wasn't given that information, but I can tell you this: out of everything that my guy's gotten right this year, which he's batting 1,000, I'd like to add, including the Indy Jones on PlayStation, which he told me in January. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Listen, the guy said it. 2026, the PlayStation handheld is coming out.
Well, let me say this. You're talking about PS5 level games. I mean, they have to figure out a way of playing those games on a mobile chip these days anyways, because I think going forward, this is going to be the form factor.
Well, Wise. Listen, a lot of people like to make fun of it, but it's the matter of fact. If that's what the plan is, and that is the truth, what Mag's saying, it's the PSSR that's going to be the star of the show on that handheld.
That is where I think that's where you might be able to, when you're talking about that and the PlayStation 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's where you can find that you're going to have a compatibility with the forward compatibility, as they call it.
Yeah.
I'm not a tech guy either, but I do understand some of the terminology. But that's pretty interesting news. So we'll see how that pans out. But that's what he's saying it definitively, and he's a big shot. I'm gonna shut up.
You get him in trouble.
I almost said something I shouldn't have said. Yeah, but either way, it's that's what he's saying.
Is it going to be a close?
I'm going to talk to Seeds. See what he's.
Do you know if it's going to be like a closed ecosystem, or are you going to be able to download other launchers?
No information. None.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk to Seeds. I'm going to see if his people are saying the same thing. I'd be curious to corroborate info to see what you know what I mean. See what the two, because my guys and his guys are pretty damn solid. So,
but do you think
I saw the thing today on what was it? I think Eurogamer or Digital Foundry was talking about it, saying that it would need its own games, that it wouldn't be able to play like the PS5 games straight up, which means you would have to probably buy the game specifically made for it, which in my opinion would be a detractor, because when you look at the Switch and the Switch 2, obviously those are going to play, you like what Nintendo's doing now is they don't have two different things. They don't have a handheld and a console. They have 2 in 1, and they play the same games, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's what Microsoft looks like they're going to do. It's like you're going to be able to take your library with you, right? Whatever you have already is going to be playable in there. And I think that's the basic idea behind it. Like Sony, I think, hey, cool, if they are doing the same thing. But according to which I saw this on WCCF Tech today, which was that according to Digital Foundry, because because it's harder to kind of port the stuff down, they don't have a lower SKU like Microsoft does the S. That's one instance where the S will pay off for Microsoft, because they already have this lower spec thing. So in a few years from now, when they come out with their thing, the S will be running, they could probably have that to where the stuff can run on that.
I think the days of saying a handheld's going to come out and it's going to have to have its own game that you can only play with that device.
can't
I
do
think
that
that's
anymore.
over. I think that's over.
Yeah,
That's
you
over.
can't
I
do
mean,
that.
I would hope so. I'm just telling you what
That's over.
What was
Yeah.
said.
Well,
You know what I
That's
mean?
that's
like,
that
the
between.
Steam
I mean,
Deck
listen,
and
you
the
have
ROG Ally
you have
pretty
Steam
much.
Deck, the Steam Deck, and not talking sales numbers of the units, okay? But Steam Deck, I could play on my PC. Stop playing on my PC, grab my Steam Deck, go play it on the couch, right? Same thing I can do with my Portal. And I understand that people don't like streaming. That's fine. The Portal does a great job for depending on the customer, but there's a lot of people showing you can play it out of your house. It plays very well. The point of the matter is that I don't think you can just say this device will only play these games, or you have to buy a specific or buy the game again for that device. I mean, that's dead on arrival, I think.
No, what's going to be important is actually what Microsoft has is that Play Anywhere initiative, where you download their game or you buy their game on their store, and you can play it on any device that has their ecosystem involved. So that is
PlayStation will absolutely. They will absolutely do that too. They're absolutely will do that. There's no way that I think that if Microsoft is implementing that PlayStation's not going to implement the same thing. They will absolutely do it.
I don't think, honestly, it's fun. And if you can already do it, guys, let me know if you can. The one thing that Sony won't advertise as much, Mag, though, Microsoft is really adamant on the play it on a phone, play it on on a refrigerator. I don't think Sony wants to sell. Sony's going to want to sell you the PS5. They want to sell you the PS5, the PS5 Pro. They want to sell you the Portal. They're going to want to sell you this supposed native use device that you're talking about in 2026. They're going to want to sell you a PS6. So they will want you to play their games on the go on the device they tell you to buy. They don't want it to be something you have in your pocket.
And that's fine. You know what the thing is?
That's
if
the
quality
difference.
is there, then I would rather play that and then on my Samsung or whatever, on my phone or on my tablet or whatever. Give me like the PS Portal is a shockingly quality product that like even my wife kept like she gave me shit when I bought it. By the way, I just like to point that out. Especially and usually I buy arcade cabinets without telling her. Me pretending like she's not gonna happen to see this giant Street Fighter 2 cabinet, right? But either way, the Portal I thought I could sneak past her, right? And she just comes out. She goes, "What is that?" Right, and then I'm like, "Oh, it's just this, this thing that's saying, and I'm, yapping, whatever." When I finally explained that she could play her games on it, guess what? I don't even have the Portal anymore. She takes it to work. You know what? The sound is incredible.
It is good.
The sound is
very
incredible.
Good.
The what's it called? The haptics and everything else flawless, just like the actual controller. It's the DualSense.
I'll be honest with you, Meg. I'll go a step further. The screen. It looks like an OLED, and it's not one. It looks fantastic.
Looks like an OLED. It's lightweight, and it is God, is incredible quality.
That's right, crap.
Yes,
very versatile.
So,
yes,
yes. I'm just like,
if I was on the moon.
If I was on the moon.
Well, you know what? If somebody wants to keep selling us products that are actually quality, I'll buy it. And if if Microsoft release that when they release their handheld and it's quality and it's great, I'll buy it. But I don't want to play it on a Lenovo, tablet that my wife got for $99 on sale at the supermarket.
Right.
At the supermarket. I don't want to play my games like that. I think we're
with a touch screen or an added thing you have to clamp to the side of it. No thanks.
No, and it's great for like a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, or 12-year-old, like my kids, whatever, right? But not us. Not at this point in our lives. I think at this point in our lives, like, listen, we want the quality. We'll pay for the quality. You know what I mean? So that's the way I see it. So you know what? They want to release that. They want to. I'm all for it as long as it's quality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I was just gonna say the one thing.
Outrage. Forget about
the one thing we didn't talk about though, Meg, is the price point.
It doesn't matter. The price points are going to be high.
Of course, it's going to be high.
Expect it to be high, and that's all that's going to be. That's all that's going to be to it. I mean, people can argue here and there about the Pro and everything else, and like, oh, it's not doing this and that. I know it's a topic, but like, it is what it's going to be, and it's going to continue moving in that direction. Apple, same thing, right? Samsung, slowly getting there. Not as egregious as Apple, but they're getting there. Yeah,
let's talk about that real quick, honestly. You said it's a topic. It is a topic. Let's talk about the PS5 Pro, because I have a couple people in the chat right now. They're like, Mooch, there you go. PSSR has already been debunked. It's worthless. I go, but it's not. Like, you could literally, there's 80 games out that are PS5 Pro enhanced, I believe, right now. I think that number's 80. Might be 77, 82. I don't know, somewhere in that range. 5 games. The developers even said, oops, we're going back. We'll fix it. Like, I mean, every game that comes out, every developer goes, oops, I'm sorry, we'll fix it. The other games look great. The games are playing great on the Pro. Like,
my
fantastic.
Bleed.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Stellar Blade, which I waited. Remember I told you, when
yes,
you had Dreamcast guy
you
on
said
and
that.
I said, listen,
yep.
I created my own launch lineup because I held off on those games on purpose. So I bought all on Black Friday. I got Stellar Blade that was on sale. I got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. What the hell else did I buy? I bought a whole bunch of games, and my eyes were bleeding.
Yeah,
on Stellar Blade. I'm like, this is, and I mean, mind you, it also helps that I bought a PC monitor, not a TV. So I bought a 32-inch monitor, which is like top of the line, and it is the performance on this monitor is something else. And I bought it just for the Pro. So the thing is I'm just like playing this thing now, and I'm like, okay, I tried out a bunch of the other games, and I was completely blown away. So I can understand, what is it, like 5 games where it's not taking advantage, or the PlayStation 5 version is doing better?
No, like,
is that what Digital
Silent Hill 2's initial PS5 Pro enhanced patch did not do wonders for the game. There was another game as well. I think they said Jedi Survivor, but you already had Bluebird Team already come out and say we're working on that. We'll have the new patch out, and then we'll have another one out after that. They're working on it. I mean. Listen, you want to say it's beta, you can call it whatever you want. This is definitely going to be something for that eventual handheld and for the PS6. But when you look at like DLSS, I was talking to a lot of PC guys. They were like, DLSS 1. When it first came out was good, but it wasn't as good as it is on, what is it now, 3.0? Like, it's not the same as it is now. It's amazing. So when PSSR gets to 3.0, it's going to be amazing. But you have to start somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I understand if you want to critique it, you can critique it, but you can't sit there and say it doesn't do anything. It's debunked.
Well, that's where Mooch, that's where some of this, like the discourse and the back and forth fanboy stuff, kind of gets annoying, right?
Yeah. Because
like I can remember, and this isn't even like a thing, but like when the Xbox One X came out, and I can remember specifically, they were like, Microsoft really hyped it up. We were big fans of it, and then when they came out with some of the updates for it, I think it was Titanfall 2 played better on the PS4 Pro for a while, right? And then they patched it or whatever. So I think people really need to give it a little bit of time and give it a little bit of a grace period. It just came out, let them cook. I think it's obviously like the developers that are able to launch new games from this point on are going to be able to take better advantage of it. And some developers, maybe weren't able to invest like a bunch of people to get it updated for this. That was the case a lot of times with like Xbox One X and PS4 Pro versions. It was like you had a couple people doing the updates to get it there. You know what I'm saying? It's like things that are going to be released from here on out are going to be much better, but everybody just looking for a stupid reason to hate on it. It's so ridiculous at this point. It's like, and it's like frustratingly bad because like I know from both sides of the spectrum how that goes, you know what I mean? And then if Xbox releases something, Sony fans will figure out, something to hate on, and then Sony releases something, and then the Xbox fans will
like
it's like the same thing with it's like I see Xbox fans talking up Indiana Jones Metacritic, and I think Metacritic matters tremendously because you get that peace of mind, you get that mind share. You get, and then that can help sell games. That can help, that helps tremendously. I said if Starfield would have been a 92 rated game, that thing could have taken off tremendously, right? It just wasn't. You know what I mean? But and now you have Xbox fans touting Metacritic for many, many years saying it doesn't matter and don't pay attention to it or whatever.
Right.
Of course it matters. Right? Get out of here. Of course it matters.
But we knew the limitations of the PS5 Pro before we even got the PS5 Pro. We knew that the CPU was not upgraded. It was like a 10% upgrade, but it was almost a negligible amount of upgrade for the CPU. So any game that is CPU bound is going to struggle on both the PS5 and PS5 Pro, which Alan Wake 2 is guilty of. So it is not surprising. So yeah, I mean, and that's what Digital Foundry said, even the beginning of that, before the console was launched, that any game that is CPU bound is still going to struggle on this one. So
it's funny, and I don't know what this is, but I'm just reading this because Blessed Red. Shout out to Blessed Red real quick. He goes real quick here. He goes, Mooch. I just want to see what he says about XESS. He says something about this, which I don't pretend to know about the PC stuff and like that, but I'll give him credit. He goes, Mooch. He goes, PSSR is worse than XESS, and the XESS debuted 2 years ago. I just looked this up. XESS run, this is 2 years ago, by the way, October 24th, 2022. XESS runs worse than DLSS and FSR on both Ampere and RDNA 2. This is when it came out, right? 2 years ago. So the thing you're saying is good, Blessed Red, was rated horrible when it came out, right? So it didn't do well. It's my point being is that this is doing quite well on console, and it's only the first iteration. Like I don't know. You've got, and the results you're showing are 3 or 4 games. There's 3 or 4 games that came out that people said that when Digital Foundry did their review of it, they said it actually was a scale back. It didn't do well. Well, not every dev's going to be able. They're working on it. Even Bloober Team, he's like, they're like, we'll have a patch out. We'll make, we'll correct our error. Sorry about that. See you soon.
You know what? The thing is, and this is, I talked about it on XNC with Colt. And he asked about it because he doesn't have a Pro.
Yeah, I know.
And he asked me about it, and I said, well, listen, I said this console was not made for backward compatibility games. It was like that. That's a bonus for now. The idea of this is that it's going to propel the next 4 years forward. Right. So what I said, listen, I'm not concerned at all because the games I'm playing on it are absolutely phenomenal. And they are 1,000% a step up from what I was playing on my PS5. I still have a couple of PS5s in the house, and I could see the difference. I could clearly see the difference because my wife is playing on a PS5 and I got the Pro. The thing is, if Ghost of Yotei comes out and there's a problem, that's the time that you could say, okay, maybe this needs to go back in the oven. You know what I mean? But like when we're talking about games moving forward, I think that's where you're going to really see the console shine. So that's what I was talking about. I said what's
that's a good point, but nobody wants to hear that when they say that. I've seen people arguing what you said online, not you, but what you've said. Right. They're like, well, it's for the games that are coming out, and crap. I even saw you saying that, and like that is the intent, right?
This is a bonus.
Yes,
for right now. This is
but
you know what I mean?
All this is basically the console equivalent of buying a stronger GPU. That's all it is. So people in the PC realm buy a GPU, upgrade their GPU every so often. For us as console gamers, we don't do that. So when they come out with a PS5 Pro, which has the same CPU and an upgraded GPU, that's how I'm seeing it. I'm buying a PC with an upgraded graphics card. Basically.
But it also is running the PSSR stuff, which is going to be beneficial in the future. I mean, like, yeah, stuff that's CPU bound, I get it. But right now, if you're running, if a game has to run 720p to get 60 frames, it's going to look worse than a game running on a PS5 Pro that's going to have that upscale technology that can make 720p look like, 1440p or 1800p, whatever the case may be. So you're getting, the performance and like the better image quality as well. And I also think what they're doing is setting it up for like the future a bit, because if you look at it right now, we're 4 years in, 50% of the people are still on PS4, and same thing with Xbox Ones. So their thought process maybe is, okay, I think we're at the point where we're getting kind of diminished gains. Both Phil Spencer and Sony have said that, and even I think Sean Layden, who did interviews recently and said some interesting things, was like, graphically these things are topping out to where the only things they can do, and so people aren't going to upgrade their console like they did previously. So I could imagine like next gen or whatever they might call it could be even worse selling stuff because everybody can still, I think the plan is just to keep like what we have now running for a much longer time, right? Like, I mean, I think that's probably the thought process. And I think Microsoft probably wanted to do that in the first place. But the problem was that CPU was just so shitty, because they went with such shitty hardware with the Xbox One that they had to like abandon it to get anything to run on it. Because if you look at like Digital Foundry tried to run some stuff equivalent to what that CPU was, and they couldn't get anything to run anything. So, it's like, I think that they set themselves up, Sony is, to future proof themselves a little bit. If you have a PS5 Pro, you're not going to need a PS6 day one. You'll probably be good.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I shout out to Blessed Red. Blessed Red, I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, this is the first time we've had this technology on console. You've said it yourself, whether it was the XESS or you're talking about DLSS, no matter which one you're talking about, they had time to make the next iteration better. And what I'm saying here is PSSR coming out the gate is on all of these older games right now. We're seeing it on first-party games. We're probably going to be phenomenal. So we have to see what they're going to do with it moving forward. But it's the technology is there, and it got praised. Listen, Digital Foundry did their due diligence, and they showed you the 4 or 5 games that it didn't do well on. They also showed you a number of games it did amazing on.
And see, that's the thing that people need to understand.
I don't understand the point.
The tech will ever be. This is the worst it will ever be. It can only go up from here. So if it's already firing at all cylinders at this level, can you imagine 4 years from now when the PS6 comes out, what level PSSR will be at for them? Yeah, so that's what people don't seem to understand.
He goes, Mooch, and shout out to Blessed Red. He says people were expecting to be better than FSR2, but I've heard people say it is better than FSR2.
Well, no, it is unequivocally better because
I've heard it is better.
Said that.
I mean, I thought Digital Foundry said that, right?
Yeah, Digital Foundry said the reason PSSR is a thing and not off of FSR like Microsoft is doing it is because PlayStation saw some stuff that DLSS was doing or 3.5 was doing that FSR2 was not doing. So they made their own tech that incorporated some of the stuff from DLSS plus some of the stuff from FSR to make their solution. So yeah.
Yeah, that's and don't get me wrong. Shout out to Blessed Red again. He says, of course it'll get better, but it releasing in its current state is just crazy to me. I don't understand. So out of the 80 games, you even said it 5 to. I'll even give you your 5 to 7. Didn't
Have
make
you seen freaking for Zero Dawn? Zero Dawn is freaking phenomenal.
Zero Dawn is great. A Stellar Blade looks amazing. Shoot, I'm playing. What do you call it there? Black Ops 6 looks great. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. I mean. There's a lot of things. I mean, listen, Blessed Red, I'm not saying that you're actually, wrong. I'm saying, but the Xbox Series X launched with no first-party game. What about it launching in that state? Were you upset? That's what I'm saying. I mean, everything you can pick on any device or anything. iPhone 16 came out, every commercial with Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence didn't come out for months later.
And we know this is a beta. Come on now. We know we paid for a glorified beta.
I got an iPhone 16. I wasn't walking around for the first, 60 days being like, what a ripoff. They got me. Did they get you? I mean, I don't understand. Like, I see the difference in the games. What they told me I was going to see, I'm seeing, and I feel it's only going to get better. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't game on Xbox, says Blessed Red. Well, Blessed, then you know what I'm talking about because DLSS 1 is not as good as DLSS 3. You know what I mean? Come on, work with me, Blessed. It's the holidays. Who's yelling, crap?
You?
Apparently. Get the guy who's yelling off the show. Get him out of here. Listen, I got to be honest with you guys. Outstanding. Well, listen, Andy Hart, the great Andy Hart, guys. Wait, the super chat's working. It's a miracle, by the way. Guys, he said, Andy Hart says, is the PS5 Pro a decent upgrade? To be honest, I'm still on the fence about it.
I swear by it. That's just me.
Oh yeah.
And if you got a regular one, just trade it in, man.
Trade it in.
You don't even got to pay that much.
Yeah, don't pay $700.
Let me tell you this. If you are a straight console gamer, you need the PS5 Pro. If you are a straight console gamer, you need a PS5 Pro. Period. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
It's an outstanding console for me. I adore it. So
look,
no problem.
Good graphics, games run better, freaking Portal run better. I got a 2 terabyte hard drive. Yeah, it's worth the price of admission for me.
The 2 terabyte hard drive is a lifesaver too, especially when you get like the Call of Duties that come over and they're just like, all right, I'm taking your whole couch. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're 500 pounds. You know what I mean? Or it's like you're on the airplane with 3 seats and there's a guy who takes up 2 out of the 3. That's what Call of Duty does. Listen, the 2 terabytes saves a lot of space because right now I think I've got about 20 games on there, give or take. Let's say about 18 games, and I haven't put Call of Duty on there because I'm still playing that one on Game Pass, and I still got 1.01 terabytes.
But let's just look at it on a numbers level. If I'm paying $600 for a 2 terabyte Xbox, why not pay $100 extra and get the PS5 Pro with the PSSR?
Absolutely. Right. I think that's a no-brainer personally. But yeah, again, you go to Moochonomics here. So, shout out to Andy Hart. Andy, if you do it, like exactly what Wise was saying, but like if you have a PS5, OG, you trade it in. I think we had the Great Gaming Forte on 2 weeks ago. And, back when it was originally announced, you were getting upwards of $400, $385 US for your trade-in towards the $700 machine. Now he said, I think it was $300, but again, that was 2 weeks ago. So don't quote me now. Go ahead and look on your app or call your local store. But I think you're still going to get close to $300 for that. So you're
got
paying
$350 for a digital.
I was a little more than that because I had the physical disc. But who cares?
Back down to 86, Mooch. Back down to 86.
We're back to 86. Okay, crap. Yes. Thank you for the play-by-play. I said, listen, I think this thing ends. I think this thing ends.
Michigan.
Right, exactly. I think this thing ends at 85. I think it ends at 85.
Yeah, so Mooch, we were pretty much on point. We were saying between 85 and 86.
Yeah, when we heard the initial ones, I originally thought before it went, I said I was going to go 80 because I didn't know. A lot of people were being very, very hard on the first 3 hours played on the combat, which we saw a couple people saying the combat left them feeling a little, meh. But at the same time, once we started hearing 88, 89, I said, I'm thinking 85 is a great landing spot, which, by the way, outstanding score. That's encouraging. I think at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how does it do on PlayStation? Because I don't think the thing about it, though, not to go back and forth here, but I don't think a game like Indiana Jones, even sitting at an 85, I don't think that moves the Game Pass needle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this game is not going to move the Game Pass needle. Anyone thinking to that effect is just delusional. Sorry,
no,
this is not a Game Pass move.
What I'm interested in, I want to know how it's going to do on PlayStation. Anybody have any ideas? Like, what do you think? Like, if the game's okay, the reviews are solid.
I heard it runs better on PS5 Pro though.
Oh, he's starting so early with that.
That should go without saying at that point. But I mean, what I'm curious to see, like, just a ballpark. You think it'll sell 1 million copies over there? You might maybe 2. 1 half.
I think.
I think didn't it say leaked during the FTC trial that they were expecting to sell 10 million units of this game?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Say let's pump the brakes. Yeah.
No. Listen, I believe that's what it said.
No, I don't. Yeah.
I don't remember everything. Right? They were expecting to do something like that, and then they made a deal where they cut PlayStation out. And it was just going to be Xbox and PC, and then sometime between then and now, it's like coming to PlayStation as well. So I don't know, and what would Disney charges a lot for their stuff. I'm not sure exactly how much this IP costs, and what's the deal with the license with this, right? So we know they pull the Forza games after a certain amount of years. And we know stuff like Transformers. Yeah. Right. That was some good and a Deadpool game. All that stuff gets pulled after a certain amount of time due to licensing issues. Is this game going to be in Game Pass forever like the other first party stuff? I have that question, you know what I mean? Because we know, I don't know if you guys saw, but apparently some of the discs of this game got out into the wild early. Oh yeah. And it's completely unplayable. Right. You have to, it's just a coaster. And this was always my fear with stuff like when I complain, they go, yeah, you're really hard on Xbox. I'm like, well, listen, I've got fucking thousands of games on Xbox. And if they decide to go belly up and stop doing shit with their console, a lot of those games are going to be unplayable because you need a connection there. It's like you can't get anything from it. Even the physical ones like Halo Infinite, there's a lot of games that even if you have the physical copy, without an internet connection and something to kind of ping off of, you can't play the game. Yeah. So, that's always that's like a huge worry. But, I think that seeing that what I've seen from this definitely would make me download the game. And I'm interested to see what it's all about.
Same here.
I don't think but I don't think that it's going to be like a game that, if any game was going to push Game Pass, it was Call of Duty. Right, and that didn't push sales of Xbox at all.
No, and you'll probably you'll probably see a small spike. You'll see a 3-month spike in Game Pass subscriptions, and then I think that'll. They don't even
announce those though. That's the thing. So who knows what it does? They always say this, right? And people don't, and all corporations do this. I'm not coming down just on Xbox, but all corporations do this. We saw the biggest day one new user count, or what they did with Call of Duty. They go, biggest
number of people playing, or consecutive players playing. Or
the most grenades thrown on a Thursday that we've ever seen. I can't believe it. It's amazing. It's most ham sandwiches.
Yeah, eaten while played. Yeah.
This is the stuff that scares me. This is the stuff that pisses me off. Okay, as an Xbox gamer, Xbox says, okay, if you are an Xbox gamer, we want you to buy the console. Okay, good. Check. Did that. Okay, we want you to subscribe to Game Pass. Good. Check that. Okay, did that. Now I'm playing the game. Then they are going to complain to me if I play Indiana Jones that, hey, well, wait a minute, Indiana Jones didn't sell enough, but you never told me to buy it. You told me to play it on Game Pass. So I did what your business model told me to do.
Yeah.
So is it my freaking fault that your game didn't sell because you never told me to buy it?
I wonder if they thought, and shout out to Brap. Brap, welcome to the show, but you're kind of coming in a hybrid here. We did Indiana Jones for the first 45 minutes, Brap, which you're more than welcome to give your take on. And now we were going into the PS5 Pro talk, and then just the way that the chat and everything was kind of going along, we kind of been going back and forth. So, Brap, if you're wondering what topic we're on, it's kind of between Indiana Jones and PS5 Pro because of the way the conversation's been going. But yeah, I wonder if Xbox originally thought, when they were doing, coming up with Game Passes, people will subscribe, they'll play it, they'll love it, and then they'll want to buy it. And I wonder if that was the case because they're like, remember the whole push was early on was going to be, it doesn't stop game sales. But on Xbox, it kind of does stop game sales.
Well, why would I pay for something if I don't have to pay for it? That's a dumb thing.
Yeah, but you're still paying $20. Sorry, Brad, you're still paying $20 a month. Yeah,
but that's what they want me to pay. But then they're complaining when I didn't buy their damn game.
Months.
Well, I don't know if they're complaining. I'm just saying that might have been a thought they had. Go ahead, Brap.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of been it's some games it's certainly helped sales. Other games it hasn't. That's kind of been the data coming from Circana, at least from Mass Piscatella's talk quite about it. Maybe some other, maybe game industry business cover that too. But it hasn't been like, it doesn't help selling. It doesn't help sell games, or it helps sells games, or it hurts games. Definitely hurts games in terms of sales. I think it just depends on the game. I mean,
well, see, what I'm afraid of is it's going to go down the same spiral that Hi-Fi Rush went down. It's going to come out. It's going to be a critical success. People are going to play it online via Game Pass, and nobody's going to buy it. And then they're going to say, "Oh, wait a minute! Oh, we didn't sell our numbers. It was below expectations. Let's just go ahead close down machine games."
That's the catch-22 with Game Pass, right? It's like,
right.
You
hear bullshit.
When we hear Sean Layden talk about that the model, there's just not enough coins to go around because you have to. It's like, if you get like 3 million people playing Indiana Jones on Game Pass, and you get like 30,000 new subscribers as a result. I mean, the 30,000, that money generated from those new subscribers doesn't necessarily just go to the development costs behind Indiana Jones. That gets spread out. I mean, that money gets spread out, and so that's kind of what Sean Layden's talking about, the challenge of putting big AAA games day and date, these games that have high budgets. Now, Call of Duty, I heard you guys talking about like the impact of Indiana Jones to Game Pass, and I don't think we're going to see a significant increase in subscribers. We didn't see that necessarily from Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They did see an increase in numbers, but Microsoft hasn't reported anything to the contrary that would indicate to us that we had a record-breaking month in terms of new subscribers with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And if there's any game that was going to move the needle,
the actual statistics is it's less than one standard deviation above. So it's not even one full standard deviation above from the normal. So it's not it's a bump, but not a significant.
It's not a significant bump. Yeah.
Right.
Now where we saw, I mean, obviously there was a lot of engagement though. Of Call of Duty, we don't know. Again, we don't know what that means. Like, does that engagement mean like people who fired it up for like 5 minutes? I can tell you, I just finished the campaign, and I know most people, probably 98% of the people who play Call of Duty are playing it for the multiplayer. But I was popping a lot of rare achievements early on.
Oh yeah,
like the first 3 missions. I was kind of surprised by that. Even the first mission I completed, I got a rare achievement. I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd considering it's quote unquote free in Game Pass. But I don't think Indiana Jones is going to move the needle for Game Pass. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw. I'm willing to bet that we'll see majority of its sales on PlayStation, like we saw with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. That game sold very well on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
I think 78% or around maybe 80% of Black Ops 6 sales were actually on PlayStation 5. So. And those are premium sales, by the way, meaning like.
And I'm glad you brought up
$70.
sales, Brap, because just to clarify, Crap, you were saying 10 million. Shout out to Kiri in the chat. He said, Crap, I think you meant those were the numbers that were revealed for Starfield. They were assuming, Crap. I don't think that was for Indiana Jones. I don't think that Indiana Jones would. I don't think it'll do that between the two consoles and PC, not even close. Shout out to the great David Faulkner who's joined us. David, the accountant of the gaming community, has joined us. David, great to have you here as well. We were just kind of going back and forth on a couple of different subjects here. I was going to kind of move over if Brap, if you were,
Mooch, let me correct this real quick. Okay, so according to this, apparently Microsoft had expected to sell 10 million units of both Starfield and Indiana Jones on PlayStation. But that if it took them exclusive, it could offset losses incurred to increase Game Pass subscriptions and console sales. So they expected to sell, both of that. I knew I had read that right. So yeah.
What did Microsoft made a PlayStation exclusive? What did Microsoft make?
Hey, but that's only. But that's why it's interesting. Like when people are still saying, "Oh, they're not bringing the whole slate." It's like no. Like if you listen to what Crap just said, like that's why they're bringing the whole slate, and they may not do it day to day on PlayStation. It could be staggered, right? But they're doing that because they need to make up for that lost revenue. They're not selling enough consoles. They need to move software. They need to make that money back. They're not making up enough money as they initially thought they would with Game Pass subscribers. So that's why they're putting all their games on other platforms like PlayStation, Nintendo. Well,
they have to. They don't have enough. They only got like close to at most 30 million consoles, and maybe if you add another 20 million, and being generous when I say that, on PC, that's only 50 million total gamers on Xbox as a platform. So if they're only garnering to those 50 million, they're not selling enough. So that's why they have to sell it on PlayStation.
Hey, Mooch, I haven't been here in a while. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, Brap, where you been?
Like I got a story to tell you, man.
I know you do. My God, man. Well, I'm assuming because you're here, it's good news, so that's good. Thank God.
Is your dog lit now?
No, it's. I mean, there could be surgery tomorrow. Who knows?
Come on.
Yeah. No, it's. I just want to say something. If you're going to use the word cope, because
I know.
If you're going to use it, at least understand that using the word cope is not an insult, you idiot. You don't even know the damn definition. You're not even using the word. Let me just read the definition. For anyone who's used the word cope as some kind of insult, you're a fucking idiot. Cope means deal effectively with something difficult. That's not an insult, you idiot.
I thought you were saying Coke. I'm like, what the heck?
No, Coke.
Shout out to God Emperor.
Mag might be able to give us a definition on that.
Shout out to God Emperor Sofa King. I've known God Emperor Sofa King for like 10 years. He says Cope and Seethe podcast. I said God Emperor. I wrote him. I said God Emperor Sofa King. I said which console or platform are you fanboying this week for? Because when I went at him one time, Brap, and I go, well, this about Xbox and that. He goes, Mooch, I don't play Xbox. Okay, I'm on PC now. But I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Every time I see the word cope, I just bang my head on the desk because I'm like, you guys aren't even using the word correctly. You don't even know the definition. It's not an insult. Say someone is coping with something that's actually a positive.
Brap, it's evolved. The word is evolved, apparently.
I mean, people just want to change definition of words, I guess.
I guess so.
I mean,
everything.
Well, coming from somebody in the education field, since most people cannot read even at a 4th grade level these days, they have to make up their own definitions for their own words.
It's all right.
Read the words.
And guys, just so you know, Wise is a school teacher. He knows what he's talking about.
I was about to ask Wise that because I know he's a school teacher. I was about to are you seeing people change? Like cats no longer is in the future, cat's not going to be an animal anymore. It's going to mean something else, Like people just I don't understand what's happening.
It's going to mean a completely different meaning.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully somebody
says it's all Mac's fault, by the way. I'm blaming
you better hope that Elon Musk can make a robot that can feed your pudding through a straw when you're ready to retire. These little kids that sure as hell can't do it anymore.
I'd tell you what kind of robot I want Elon to make, but that's another conversation.
No kidding, right?
Shout out to the wise old gamer. He says, "Hey Mag, when's the OnlyFans launching?" Oh, apparently there's something going on behind the scenes we're unaware of.
Yeah. High demand for the OnlyFans.
Hey, Mag, a racy video of you leaked in the dark web. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh,
hey, I got. Have y'all ever seen Mag in a Princess Leia costume?
That's what I'm referring to. There's a dark.
Yeah, that was me in the Slave Leia outfit. Not this Halloween, the last Halloween. And let me tell you something. In a Canadian October, walking around at a party in a Slave Leia outfit is not fun, okay? It was cold.
It was cold.
You were brave.
I could have cut glass with those nipples all night. Okay. So,
Well, you're probably opening beer bottles.
Well, at least your lower extremity can fit in the bikini now because it was cold because it all shriveled in.
David,
so there you go.
You're like a stanza. It's shrinkage. It's cold.
Shrinkage.
No, there's no shrinkage. Italians don't get shrinkage.
That's correct. That's correct.
They don't have much to shrink to begin with. There you go.
I looked like I was wearing a Stellar Blade skin. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Hey, is that your Halloween costume this coming year or next year? Stellar Blade?
You know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Now you gave him an idea, Brap. Well, wait, shout out to the great Willie Gamer. Shout out to Willie. He says, my boys Faulkner and Mooch. He goes, this is great. Willie, I was just thinking about you the other day. So we got to get Willie back on the show.
Willie, you fucking jackass, been asking him to come on.
We got to get.
I can't come. I got obligations.
We got to get him on. We got to get him back on the show. But guys, let me introduce the great David Faulkner real quick. David, you've been sitting here on the show listening right now. So there's one of two things that's going through your minds. You want to sell all your property in Australia and move to the States because you find us all very fascinating, or you're like, this is why the Americans are crazy. I'm not sure what you're thinking right now. But I hope it's the first one, and you want to move over to the States.
Neither.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
we went off on a rant. Qualified to say who's good, who's cool, and who's not. This man gets a buzz off of coffee. Okay, so
listen, he is an accountant. He does. That is very true. So we had a couple of things going on here. I just wanted to see if I had another. I already took care of that. That great super chat by God Emperor Sofa King. Who could have forget that one? I appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into this, guys. I'm going to kind of go over to Brap and David one time. I do want to give you guys a chance. Anything you guys wanted to comment, because you guys are a little late to the show. We did talk a little bit about Indiana Jones sitting currently, I believe, in an 86 Metacritic. And then also we did talk about some of the PS5 Pro, some of the narrative that's going around where, a couple of the PSR, I think 5 to 7 of the 80 games have gotten bad PSSR acknowledgement versus the others that have all gotten praised. David or Brap, anything before? Because I do want to go into the XDefiant situation because it bleeds.
I'll chime in real quick with the PSSR implementation. It's these things do happen. It's not uncommon. I mean, we saw this with DLSS. Geez, I can't remember. DLSS. Is it? Yes.
Yeah, DLSS 1. Now they're on 3.0, I believe.
Yeah. And then, we've seen this with FSR. So, I mean, like these things, it's not uncommon per se. It'd be an issue if it was like the majority of games.
Right. That's what I feel.
There isn't a significant, I think, fail rate, if you will, or an issue where, because I've seen people say stuff. Oh, it's not good, blah, 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 and they're just cherry picking a couple games. But again, I mean, if you pay attention to these things, it's not an uncommon problem. So,
I do agree with you. David, anything on those two subjects before we move over to the XDefiant?
Not really. I think it'll just be a matter of once they get used to how these things work and how they get PSSR to benefit, because it's not a widespread issue. It seems to be dependent on who and what and where and which studio it is. I think it'll just naturally sort itself out, like most other things that people jump up and down about. They'll fix it.
That's what I said. A lot of people feel like, though, David, that's bad. That was kind of bad that they released it in that situation. You probably don't feel that way.
Well, it's almost the same as the don't put your PlayStation 5 on standby or the thing will brick. I've had mine on standby since day one, and I got one of the first batches to come to Australia. It's never had a problem, whereas other people have had nothing but problems. So it's just one of those things. People use them differently, and people will try to get the best out of it differently, and some have made it work really, really well. It's not a widespread issue, so which indicates that it's not a fundamental error with the technology itself. It's how the technology is being applied.
It's at that level is probably more the developer side. I think people need to remember that too.
That was the comment I made, Brad, because you had Bluebird team came out and apologized. They like, listen, we're working on it. We're working on that patch because that was. I think they even said our bad. We'll have another patch out in the coming days. So, all of that kind of came to fruition. And like I said, it is a bit of growing pains. I said this to the audience. I bought an iPhone 16 because of, air quotes, Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence came out a month and a half later. Right?
But when has anything come out that has been bug-free in recent memory?
Nothing.
Zero.
I mean, like,
what are we arguing about?
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, people don't apply the same level of reason, if you will, to video games as they do other consumer products, right? Like, this isn't. If first party studios, the majority of first party Sony studios were like, oh my god, this isn't working. Yeah, that's a problem. Like, if you're old first party, like, and they were the ones that got hands on with this tech before anyone else. If they're having those, like, okay, wait, that could be a problem. But, like, a couple games, yeah, people, like, I saw some guy that showed, oh, it doesn't make Sony look good. Really? How? There's games that where PSSR works great.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like, did it look bad on Nvidia when DLSS wasn't working well? I actually think that there was probably more issues, if I remember correctly. I have to go back and read again. But if I go back a couple of years, there may have been more issues on that the implementation of DSSL than PSSR. So. I mean, look, it's a thing. And if it bothers you and you're interested in the PS5 Pro, just wait.
Well, we used to say this all the time back in the day too, Crap. What Brap's kind of alluding to is the whole situation with and guys, sorry about the video, if you guys will. The video there. So I recorded that. I generally play on PS5 Call of Duty, but I was playing on Xbox with my buddy who's got an Xbox, so I was playing. So I was recording some footage after I played with him. I was like, I'll just stay on Xbox and play some single player and jam out. And for some reason, when I record footage off the Xbox, it doesn't always come through clear when I go onto Adobe Pro or whatever it is there, the Adobe program there for video editing. I don't know if you guys have that problem too or not. So I had to redo it. So I just put up the same footage you were just looking at, but I had to redo it on Adobe. So I apologize, guys, for that little bit of the video just didn't look very good. But Crap, real quick, we used to say it all the time. When you kind of buy in day one, when we bring the consoles home, remember the console wars, how they used to always say this back in 2013, 2014? They were like, oh, you got lemons. Oh my God, there's so many lemons out there. The PS4s are lemons. Oh, this Xbox, they would show people showing the console steaming. Like, I think you're an early adapter, right? When you're an early adapter to technology, you're going to have a couple of lumps. It's just the way it is. But it goes back. But why? It goes back to what somebody was saying a second ago. If I think it was Brap said if it was the majority of the games, I'd be pissed. Yeah. I would be very pissed off.
Yeah, I would be worried. But again,
I would be pissed. Yes.
I see people in the chat. Oh, it doesn't cost $800. It's the only console costs $800. Okay, don't fucking buy it then. Again, we don't do these mental gymnastics with other products. If we see something that doesn't work in a consumer product doesn't work, outside of gaming, we just move on with their business. You know what? I'll wait. But everyone wants to make a big deal about it. Get their panties in a bunch. Oh my God, it's $800. Don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy it. Don't.
Well, I bought a fridge. I bought a Samsung fridge. I'm an Asian, so we have the Asian fridges in the garage. I don't know if you've ever been around an Asian family. We always have fridges in the garage.
Italians do too. Wise. we have Mag has a fridge in his garage and he's got a stove in his basement.
Mag stores that costume in a fridge in the garage.
Italians, we got two kitchens and a refrigerator in the garage.
Hey Mag, I heard you call your refrigerator the Stugats. Is that true?
Come visit it sometimes. I got some cement boots for you. Listen.
No, but what I'm saying is, I got this Samsung fridge. The one with that TV screen that came out sometime back, right? I got it, right? So we open it. The kids are excited. Everything. The TV doesn't work. New fridge they just delivered. TV doesn't work. Now, is the fridge defective? Possibly. But then I just called them. I don't think anything of it. It's just a firmware download that they had to do, and it was working fine from there on out. So I mean, it happens. And anytime you buy new tech, something is going to get screwy somewhere. Period. It doesn't.
The thing is, I don't think that, I know some people are going to misinterpret as Brap has eloquently said earlier in the show there that the misuse of the word cope, and then there's a lot of people say, oh, this is a conversation just full of cope and this and that. Well, it's not really. It's just trying to point out people cherry picking 0.1% of what has actually been released. But then again, what people have to understand is that, once again, I want to reiterate that this piece of machinery was not made for all your backward compatibility needs. It's a nice bonus to be able to do that, and that'll help boost sales of a lot of these games, right? So, I mean, it did for me, right? I didn't have Stellar Blade. I didn't have a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I didn't have Silent Hill 2. But then, I got those games specifically for this console. Now, Silent Hill 2, I'm going to wait a little bit, right? But this is made, again, for the future. I would start to get concerned only if, like I said, Ghost of Yotei is the big game that's coming out next year, right? From PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, God willing, Q2, let's say, keep it away from Grand Theft Auto 6.
Q2, but wait a second, you say Grand Theft Auto 6. You think Wolverine's not coming before GTA 6?
That's going to be tough. I still think that GTA 6 is going to launch somewhere in September, late September.
Oh, I was thinking October, November.
And you're
actually
going to have a game releasing that entire month. Everyone's going to fly for it.
Everybody's going to give it a wide berth. But the other thing is too, you also have to remember you've got Call of Duty coming out as well. Where do you put Wolverine in between Call of Duty?
Whoa. I thought the Call of Duty is going to take a year hiatus.
Is that a fact? I'm not really
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I heard that they were working on I heard they're already working on another Black Ops, and they're doing a sequel to another one of their one of the other games that they didn't announce which one. I'm going to try and dig and see if I can find out which one they're working on.
But I thought one of the biggest deals was when Microsoft bought them. Oh, we don't have to release Call of Duty every year. We can release it every 2 years or 3 years or something.
That'll never happen. That'll never happen.
Well, I know financially that makes no sense, but
they can talk as much as they want. Call of Duty is going to come out every single year because the money is far too lucrative. It doesn't matter what. Look what they did. They released Modern Warfare 3, which was half-baked, quarter-baked, if you want to even say so. And they still released it. Why? Because it's far too lucrative to not release a Call of Duty. So they will continue to do it every single year. No matter what they say, no matter what they promise, it's going to happen. But either way, I'd be more concerned if that, like, let's say a Ghost of Yotei comes out and there's problems. That's when you have to say, okay, this is what the console was made for literally for the second half of the PlayStation generation, right? The last 4 years of this generation, or 3 years, however long this generation is going to last. And that's what the machine was truly built for. So I would imagine that everything will be fully optimized for those new games going forward. If there are problems there, then you could start to say, okay, maybe they released it a little too soon. Maybe they could have waited a little longer. Maybe they could have worked on the hardware a little bit. I'm not really 100% sure, but that's when I would start to get a little concerned. But as of now, this is a nothing burger. This is a nothing burger. And by the way, I just like to point out that Apple and intelligence don't belong in the same sentence.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I'm here for another 15 minutes, folks. Try the feel.
I love that you have the drums.
There for another minute even. So
yeah.
Hey, Mag, is there free drinks at your shows? Is it?
Yeah. No free drinks at the shows. Try the Vio, $24.99. Yeah.
So I got to ask a question here. So I'm changing the subject slightly, but it is a super chat. Shout out to Lionel. He says, need David's word on how the PlayStation Kadokawa deal would work. David, were you expanding on this probably last week on Twitter? We really wanted to get David on the show 2 weeks ago, and it just didn't work out with scheduling. David, anything on that before we move on to our next subject? Because I do want to hook Lionel up with that.
I would just to begin with, point out that yes, that deal is obviously imminent because we found out about it 4 weeks ago, and nothing since. So thumbs up to all the.
Is this one of those cases, David? Is this one of those cases where silence is golden?
No. This is one of those cases where someone didn't keep their mouth shut when they should have, and it's gone completely cold due to the potential of insider trading investigations and all the rest of it that could pop up.
Interesting.
Yeah, the rules in Japan about acquisitions is phenomenally regulate. Like the level of regulation is insane to begin with. And the first thing they have to do is, as soon as they start talking about it, they have to tell the market, which means they've got to publicly disclose it. There's been no public disclosure other than Kadokawa saying, hey, someone who already owns shares in us is talking to us about owning shares in us. And that's it. And it's not even a regulatory announcement. It was an announcement as a response to the Tokyo Stock Exchange saying, oh, something popped into a news article. Your share price skyrocketed 50% in 2 days. We're going to now have a look at this because something's not right. So, yeah, I would be very surprised if there is any serious conversation going forward now that any deal would get done in the next 3 to 6 months. It's not a bad option if they are serious about it, though it seems odd because it's got common shareholders across Sony and the 6 Japanese publishers and Nintendo. So there's not really a a push there to consolidate a position that most of those major shareholders already have. The notion that they're trying to stop themselves from a hostile takeover from a Korean investor is pretty crazy, considering that Kadokawa is about to be hit with a heap of regulatory fines and a heap of other civil costs coming out of that major cyber security breach they had
Mm-hmm.
4 to 6 months ago. That just, as good as put it into perspective, as good as the DLC for Elden Ring did, and every man and his dog bought it, that barely even covered the losses that they incurred, and we're talking billions. I will say billions and billions of yen, so hundreds of millions of dollars worth of losses, and then there's still more to come on from that. So, Sony's in the middle of a major corporate restructure internally. It would have to be a really, really good deal to get Sony to buy Kadokawa outright, considering they already have the investments they want there. So
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Falky, I was told they would go broke if they bought him.
Yeah. Sony goes broke every day of the week and twice on Sunday, though, doesn't it?
Seems it, yeah.
The benefit of having common shareholders is you don't have to spend a cent to buy it if they wanted to. They just issue shares. Sony's been buying back shares over the last 4 or 5 years, even longer. They've got a huge amount of shares sitting up their sleeve that they could just do a share issuance to cover the value. The problem now is if they had anything in the works, which they wouldn't have because we would have had to have been told, at the point when they go to do that issuance, they've got to be an agreed value, and it would have to be market value plus a premium, or they're valuing the company in a different manner. The current market value of Kadokawa is overinflated. So
let me ask you a question here.
I've got to step away for a minute.
Let me ask a question about this, and this is strictly from a stocks level perspective. You had mentioned earlier, as you know, Sony doesn't really care about From Software as much as they actually care more about their anime IPs that Kadokawa also possesses. What is the feasibility of it going through the Japanese regulation board, knowing that PlayStation could or Sony could potentially have what would amount to a monopoly when it comes to anime stuff, when it comes to
that's the one thing I see all the time too. Wise, they're concerned more about the anime because they have Crunchyroll. Is it is it Funimation? Is that what it's called? That Kadokawa holds? Is that it? So that would
Sony owns.
I don't know what it's called.
And Crunchyroll.
Oh, they own those already. Okay,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, Kadokawa owns the IP for
the IPs.
Yeah. So my question is, what is the feasibility of it even going through? Because as you said, Japan is really hard pressed when it comes to even if something looks like it may even remotely have a monopoly in a certain industry, they do not, permit it. So what was the feasibility of it even going through before all this stuff sort of happened? What was it, David? Do you know?
David's probably on a work call. What you guys don't realize is David's in Australia right now. It's 8:42 p.m. Eastern time. It is somewhere it's almost noon, I believe, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So he actually does call into the show while he's working sometimes. Yeah. So shout out to David. David's probably on a work call. No, that's a great question. We'll come back to that. Brap, I'll start with Brap on this one. Brap, I do want to kind of get to the XDefiant thing because it's not just about what happened to XDefiant, but it's kind of, I think we're going to see an industry shift here. I want to get your take on it. First of all, XDefiant, you guys remember, I had, back when XDefiant came out, free-to-play game, much like Call of Duty, very, very similar to Call of Duty. This is Call of Duty you're seeing right here, Black Ops 6 on the screen now. Very similar gameplay, very similar modes, didn't separate themselves, Brap, very much. That's what I think kind of set them back, is they didn't do anything different. They had the model, but it wasn't working. But my question to you in the long term here is, are we going to start to see all the major publishers and developers start to step away from this free-to-play model? Is the free-to-play model already saturated? And I know that Marvel Rivals comes out. We'll talk about that in a second. But when you put Marvels on anything, that sells. That may be the anomaly. What do you think, Brap?
Oh, man. That's a great question, Mooch. I just think that, obviously, gas games, these online multiplayer, it's hard to do. It's
hard to keep them going.
Yeah, and it's not easy. And so, I think I want to say maybe the industry looks at this and says, look, how do we compete with the Fortnite? How do we compete with the Warzone? How do we compete with COD annually? How do we compete with other games? There's a risk, right? And so like you have XDefiant, another casualty, but then you have a game like, on one hand, then you have a game like Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
Lightning in the bottle. So it's like,
yeah, good point. Good point.
I think it just depends on how much risk the publisher's willing to take at the end of the day. If they believe that they have something and it's an easy lift for them, maybe they use existing assets of a game or something. Because I remember, I don't know if it was Grub that was here on this show or on BRAP, which goes live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Great plug.
Thank you. But I remember Grub saying that, like, I think it was XDefiant he was talking about. It's like they're just using like old assets. It's an easier lift for them. But it's not easy. I think that's the cautionary tale here, and I'm sure they're aware. I mean, I would imagine the publishers are aware how difficult this is. Like, how do you, what's your budget? What are you targeting in terms of engagement, player count that makes sense to keep the game alive? I mean, I think those are conversations, things that they're looking at, but I don't know if the industry is going to completely turn away from gas. I don't think they will. I think they, in my opinion, I think that some publishers may be a bit cautious to take that, to dip their toes in the pool and create a game, because again, it's like there's a lot out there, and how do you get those people off?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, or that's pause. By the way, that's
pause.
Just realized. I mean, like, how do you get people engaged? That's what I meant to say.
May I've got a comment on that when you're finished.
Yeah. So, I don't know that they're going to, I think it's a great question, Mooch. I think that, it's probably going to scare some developers, publishers more now, but I do think there's going to be more risk, because again,
there has to be.
You have things like Helldivers 2. You have things like Pow World. I mean, it just...
Well, no, it's low-hanging fruit, right? Like, because most of these games are easy to develop for, and if they become viral, they become massively successful. They become an entity of their own, right? So it's low-hanging fruit. Not that much development cost and a huge payout. But the problem is, it's like it's a crapshoot. You have a better shot of playing roulette and landing on a number, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody wants that Fortnite lottery win.
Yep.
That just doesn't seem to be able to be replicated outside of, like, let's say Call of Duty Warzone. But I mean, everybody does well, but not to that level. Did you guys see what happened just last week? Was it last week or the week before, when they released the new map and then the new map / old map, and then they had the new battle pass? 14 million concurrent players.
Yeah.
Like, that is
what are you talking about?
Fortnite?
Fortnite. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is insane.
Doesn't something big come out for Fortnite tomorrow?
Something's going on. I don't know.
Fortnite is more of a platform, and that's the problem with these live service games. They can't just be a live service game. They have to keep growing to the point where they become a platform, like Fortnite, like Minecraft, like Warzone and stuff like that. And if they don't, they die. Like XDefiant failed to become a platform, so it died. And
I think XDefiant was also trying to compete with Call of Duty.
Yeah, too much.
And I think that's the other thing too. Like, if you try to go up against Fortnite or Call of Duty, try and do that clone, that's a tough proposition. That's just an uphill battle, I think, in my opinion. I mean,
you have to bring something new to the table, Brap. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Yeah, that's why I bring up Helldivers too.
Well, Helldivers did Extraction. Now, they're not the first to do it, probably, but no one else is really competing with them right now. Is anyone competing with Extraction right now?
There's like Escape from Tarkov and some other ones.
That's true, but I mean, those aren't leaving an indelible mark. That, you know what I mean? Like,
but they're successful for the publisher or developer.
They are.
That's the bottom line. They're there to make money.
No, but what you're going to see is the fewer attempts.
PUBG is the other big one. Sorry, I forgot that PUBG is still a force to be reckoned with. That's another one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I failed to mention, but that is still, to this day, is making billions of dollars. It is unbelievable.
Yes.
So, but that's what everybody's chasing. But the thing is, XDefiant, I don't think ever had a future, and the reason why is because you've got Zampella. Never mind Call of Duty. You've got Zampella at the helm, And this guy's got pedigree. You got Zampella at the helm revitalizing Battlefield. And they've openly said that they're going to make it closer to like the Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, what the hell was that other one? Bad Company 2 vibe.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to go for the smaller experience, which is, of course, more like the Call of Duty, as opposed to, as Mooch likes to always say, getting sniped from 7 miles away and you don't even know what the hell just happened.
Yeah, please stop it. Don't put that in a new one, please, Vince.
Yeah, no. It's. I don't think it's going to be that. But when you got Zampella working on that, and you've got Call of Duty doing what Call of Duty does, I don't think XDefiant ever had a future when you've got those two juggernauts going to face off with each other. And then on top of that, you still got the PUBG Fortnite crowd doing their thing. By the way, did you guys also see Fortnite also added a first-person shooter mode? So they're also trying to take on that Call of Duty.
Mooch.
The people, right? The gamers.
Real quick, Mag, speaking of, I'm glad you brought that up, Mag, about the first-person thing, and you talk about like Fortnite being a platform.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old plays Fortnite like all the time with his friends, and like they get together, they watch like concerts. I'm like, what is happening? Like Ice Spice was on screen. I'm like, why are you guys watching? This is terrible. But he was playing a game, and I heard double kill, and I'm like, what? What is happening? Yes, and I'm like, that's Halo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are they using like that cadence now? Like it's
yes. No, they did some kind of a crossover event or something, but they're going to continue to do that. My son and his friends are doing the same thing. They're out of control with this Fortnite. I mean, when Mooch was talking about the battle pass, like, oh, they give you 100 days or whatever to go fill the. My kids finished the whole battle pass in 4 days.
Yeah, like a long weekend.
Yeah. Like,
holy
our family spent over 5 figures on Fortnite stuff.
Yeah.
Do 5 freaking figures.
The one thing we don't talk about, we use a lot of expressions on podcasts, but right place, right time. We don't talk about that, right? So when you talk about PUBG, and shout out to Meg, because I was even telling Mike, I was like, I go, PUBG is amazing. Like PUBG, there's a lot of people playing PUBG still, because PUBG is really it's just strategic war zone, if you will. You know what I mean? It's not meant to be fast-paced, run up like you're seeing on screen right now, which don't get me wrong, I love, but there's something too, because when you get your chicken dinner, in PUBG, if you win, that's the W. But when I see it with people with Warzone, the minute we win, I was blessed. I was won like 4 or 5 rounds last weekend. Me and my buddy James, shout out to James Vincent. We won 4 or 5 rounds. First thing we go to is how many kills did we get? Like, if you win PUBG and you have 2 kills,
like 40.
Yeah, you have a lot. We had I think he had like 12 and I had like 8. But like, that's not my point being is like when you play PUBG, you get 2 kills. It's the W, man. That strategy, like it's a different feel type of battle royale. So shout out to the PUBG. But like you were saying, I really think that when it comes to right place, right time, PUBG comes out still around. Fortnite comes out still around, right? Like, but now you see other people trying to do battle royales, don't make it. And it's tough. We all kind of knew that Call of Duty's Warzone, it was originally called Blackout. We knew that was going to make it because, these people were going to put money, sweat, and tears into this thing, and they had all 3. They can make it happen. They had a talent, too.
Yeah.
So, but, like, that's the thing. We say right place, right time. That is unbelievable because right now, and people immediately saw XDefiant, and I saw a lot of people in the PlayStation camp were saying, well, there you go. There's because people were saying Concord should have been free to play. I got news for you. Free to play wouldn't have saved Concord.
The thing is, I liken this to like Bitcoin, for example. By the time everybody else has found out about it, it's too late. You have to move on to something else at that point. Like, don't bother buying your Doge coins and this and that. It's not going to do anything. Okay, so you missed the boat on that. It's the same thing with stocks. It's the same thing with a gaming trend. By the time, and that's the other thing that which is kind of funny. I understand like gaming trends. I don't call first-person shooter a gaming trend per se. However, when it gets to like that battle royale and everything else, that trend is it's now solidified in the titles that are already out there. Making another one, trying to make a splash, there's no point. It's like people trying to chase a trend, but it takes 5 years to make a game. By the time you make the game, the trend is gone.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Or,
yes.
Or someone has cemented, some studio has cemented themselves permanently in the place of this is the only battle royale that anybody's going to play.
But see, Mag,
closed, Mooch.
Mag, I think agreed. That's why I brought that. That was part B of my question to Brap was Is the industry now, whether it be developers or publishers, going to stay away from this because the door's closed, right? At this point?
Well, no, they're not going to stay
there's-
away. But like for example, what was the guy's name before for PlayStation before Holtz? What was the guy's name? Jim Ryan. He had like 11 or something. He came out and said, "Oh, there's 11 projects that are multiplayer focused or something like that." I don't think you're going to see that much investment. I think you're going to still have people throwing their hat into the rink, if you will, especially if they have a different idea. But I don't think you're going to have 15 different developers making the same, online game or something like that. So,
yeah, David, I saw you on camera. Did you want to chime in on this?
I did. I just wanted to add a couple of quick things. The issue is not, from my perspective, whether games as a service is cooked as a medium. I think it comes down to where you fit within that niche or within that part of the genre. And I was chatting with some people during the week. There's all these. Fortnite will be what it is, and it wasn't the first, but it's done a really good job of it, and it's had to reinvent itself multiple times, and it takes a huge amount of time and money and effort and labor to maintain that piece. And some studios just don't appreciate that when they try to do it. If you don't get a hit from the start, even though you've got a roadmap, it still costs money to support those things, and they need to be self-funding to be useful. And you can see we almost lost Bungie because of one failure for it wasn't even a horrible failure, but just a failure to meet the minimum requirements because that studio became so big. And then when they were sucked in under Sony, it became even more of an important issue. Insert commentary here around supporting a massive corporate overhead by these studios. XDefiant's got the same problem. If XDefiant was a 200, 100 person startup studio with someone copying the publishing, like Arrowhead is with Helldivers, and they just happen to get the input that they need to get it polished, and let's be honest, those guys had massive hit at the start, but it wasn't without issues and bumps along the way. And they've made it 10 months. They haven't cracked the 12-month anniversary yet. So to say that they're an ongoing live service game is still a bit premature, even though that is what they are. But if you've got to support a massive overhead, your requirements are almost unachievable. But I will just give a quick shout out to another smaller, as an example here. There's a game being built called Ashes of Creation. They started as 7 people, Kickstarter program, got $3.8 million to get it up and running based off their prospectus. They've now grown to be a studio of nearly 200. They've got 500,000 people pre-subscribed to $15 a month subscription service for this game. It's in its second alpha test at the moment, and the footage that I've seen of this second alpha test, it's a bit scratchy, but it's better than half the shit that's actually considered a completed game at the moment. They don't have a massive overhead that they have to deal with. They're going to be able to, and they're going to be small enough to be nimble and be able to make this game what they want it to be. So if you're looking at games as a service, the big in-house platform holders building these games is destined to fail. And I really don't think that that's the model in which these things will survive. But if you've got 200 people dedicated to working on, it's an MMORPG like this Ashes of Creation game. Anyone who wants to go and check it out. Shameless plug, free plug. They're not paying me for this. Just quick disclosure. But it's a good example of, they've been at it since 2017. 2018. The second pre-alpha test it ends in the start of 2025, and they expect to launch. It's got Bear McCreary is the composer. It's got some really, really good developers leading the team. It's got a really unique style. It's like World of Warcraft meets Dungeons and Dragons. So it's got a niche that it'll fit into, because it'll pick up all of the traditional World of Warcraft players who aren't happy with what's going on now, and it also gets some of those Dungeons and Dragons people who love Baldur's Gate 3 and all the rest of it that just want more freedom to go and do multiplayer stuff. There's a niche. That's a game as a service. It's $15 a month, and for 500,000 people, if they pay that $15 a month, they'll generate $90 million a year. That's more than enough to pay the people and keep things rolling, to keep doing the improvements. That is a business model that will succeed as a live service game. You don't have to be epic. You can do it, and I'm so excited. And they're doing it in Unreal Engine 5, so the development costs and the timeframes are reduced dramatically because they're using Yes, it's off the shelf stuff, but they've got the knowledge there and can get the support from UE or Epic or whoever it is they need. And hiring people in that are familiar with it means it's cheaper to get people in for them for short periods of time to do those, avoid those massive long crunches and get the stuff ready to go and meet their deadlines. I'm sorry for the TED talk on the business, but that is a great model of how the current environment
I like that, David.
can deliver.
Yeah, I mean, so you prove a point, but the one thing beyond having the smaller team and not the high budget costs, which can keep them open longer, it's the niche type of, you said it, they took a few different types of games and melded it. That's a unique thing. And I think nowadays we see a little bit of that creativity lost on newer IP.
Mooch, I agree with you. That's a great point. Like the market saturation, of where XDefiant sat, like that was to me, that's probably the biggest problem or issue.
Absolutely.
That it didn't really do anything to innovative or to stand out from the other games it competes against.
Yeah, don't copy COD because there's already 6 copies of COD.
Exactly.
Don't copy Fortnite because people won't go for something that's a cheap knockoff of Fortnite. Same with the hero shooters. The shooter genre is so saturated at the moment. Find something else.
Yeah,
How many games out there like Final Fantasy 14 online?
Well, that's why I think there's two things. I hate because I'm excited because it's Marvel, but I think Marvel rivals, and this is Wise Old Gamer. I'm tagging you into the ring here for a second because you had said how you got addicted to Overwatch, which I got to be honest with you, I have no idea. That's like somebody being like addicted to anchovies. I have no idea how the hell you got addicted to that game, but right, I have no idea at all. But nonetheless, like Marvel Rivals does do something a little different in the essence that, from what I saw, has destructible environment. Of course, they're using the comic book Marvel with multiple skins that are going to be coming out, multiple packs, battle pass. I'm intrigued. I hope it doesn't follow the Overwatch kind of smaller, overgrown type of map development. Wasn't a big fan of that. I want to see more verticality. I haven't played the game yet, so I don't know. We'll talk more about it next week. But I mean, Wise, what do you think? I mean, do you think that does Marvel? I think Marvel Rivals is here to stay, but do you think it's more because of how they're changing the game and making their own niche way into that arena, or is it because it's Marvel characters and let's just leave it at that?
Yeah, well, of course, it's Marvel characters. That's what it is. I mean, they're looking at basically the Overwatch, and they're like, okay, how can we sort of come in and make our own, our own brand known in this brand or in this game system? So they're like, okay, well, Overwatch is just a hero shooter. We got heroes out the yang, so let's just do the same thing. So they're literally living off of their IP, which is fine. Which is totally okay because, Nintendo does it all the time. Mm-hmm. So that being said, but the gameplay has to be good. The gameplay has to be good. So if you are wanting to play Overwatch with Marvel skins, that it just scratches your itch, basically. So I think that they're going to do the same.
Just to go back to my point, because I wanted to give David a chance to speak, I do want to say that I think the reason Concord, Brap, this is what we were talking about. I think Concord didn't make it. I had the game. I enjoyed the game. But the game,
but it was more of the same.
It was more of the same. It was kind of, it reminded me of the mechanics, reminded me a lot of Destiny multiplayer, and the modes were very much like Call of Duty. They had the kill confirmed. They didn't have tags, but they had whatever that S is, that power. So you collected that. It just didn't have anything new. The game was polished. People make fun of Concord still to this day. The game worked. The game worked very well. It's polished. I want to
play a better Fortnite if I can just play Fortnite.
Just play, right. And that's where you didn't get the audience. That's where that audience just didn't kind of sync with it. So, I mean, that's kind of... Meg, I didn't get a chance to get your take on it before we go to... then I'll do a fire round, because I know you guys... I kept you guys here for 2 hours. But, real quick, Meg, I mean, what do you think at the end of the day? At the end of the day, is the free-to-play model... I don't want to use the word dying. I put that in the, for the topic because it gets people to think a bit about it, but not dying. But are we going to see a tremendous slowdown here? Because Brap made a point. Well, Helldivers did it, but it's kind of like advertising, right? I think for every 100 flyers you hit, Mag, you're lucky if you get 3 callbacks. I think the percentage is even lower.
Yeah. Now the thing is, well, Helldivers was not a free to play, but
No, it was not.
It had that free to play vibe to it. There's no question. But the thing is that, like, I mean, look at the First Descendant. First Descendant did incredibly well. It had a lot of people get a lot of engagement, a lot of people on there, and it still does. Now that the first season or second season, I ended up getting the platinum.
Did you
game.
really?
Yeah, I did. You can go check my profile.
I believe. No, Meg. When I say that, I'm impressed. I'm not questioning.
It was. I had a lot of fun with it, and a lot of people did too. I mean, there were millions of people on that game. So the thing is, and I can't remember if it was Wise or Brap who said it, but it all has to come down to the actual quality of the game. If the game is undeniably good, then people will seek it out. And that's when, and the other thing is too, people also have to have fun. You have to have fun playing the game. If the game isn't fun and it doesn't have the mechanics, it doesn't have any of those, then the people are not going to engage. But they will engage regardless if it's free to play or not. They will seek it out if other people are doing it, because at the end of the day, it has to have sound mechanics, it has to have great gameplay, it has to have great graphics, great whatever it is, the gameplay loop, the hook, everything else has to all come together. And most of the time when it comes to a multiplayer game, it rarely does.
Yeah.
And that's why when you look at something like Call of Duty has that sort of like, I don't know, there's some kind of like a crack cocaine addiction to that that gameplay loop that people can't stop doing it.
Yeah.
And if you actually sit back and think about it, of course I play Call of Duty. I play a lot of it. I put it so far in Black Ops 6, I put in 100 hours in that game. But the thing is, it's nuts to me. If you actually sat down and were to watch somebody playing a multiplayer, it's like you shoot, you die, go again. Shoot, you die, you go again. Shoot, you die, you go again. And people will do it for hours and hours. And people will sit there going, is this guy insane? Like, what is this? And then you sit down and do it yourself. And then you're like, holy shit, this is incredible. This is so much fun. This is so engaging. I love doing this with my friends, this and that. So I don't say it's dying. It's just that there haven't been that many engaging games as of late. I think that, like I said, I'm not including Helldivers because that was a purchase game. First Descendant did incredibly well. Let's see how this Marvel Rivals thing. I'm going to turn it on tomorrow as soon as I get home from work.
Yes.
I want to check it out.
Yes.
I'm going to stream it on my channel with my son. I'm going to play it with him because that's the target, right?
That's the target.
He's 12 years old, and so he is the target audience.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? What better way for me to get a great gauge of how this game is going to do is you stick a 12-year-old in front of it.
Well, you know, Meg, I'll count. First of all, I don't think you're wrong, but I'll just counter it for fun on the podcast. I will tell you this much: it's nostalgic. I mean, there's going to be people playing that from 70 years down to 10. I mean,
well, those characters
it's Marvel
transcend time, right?
Right.
You know, I went to go see Blade at a press screening with my some of the producers.
Yeah.
I know Hollywood producers. I went to go see that in '99 when it came out. That was like 13 years before my kids were born. So yes, you're right. You're going to get those people who are, like I said, it's like well, what used to be Star Wars, it transcended generations, right? But Marvel, you know, they're not doing so hot right now outside of Deadpool. But the thing is, the Marvel characters are still there and they're great. People are going to be fighting over who gets to be Thor, who gets to be Blade. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, like, it's good. But the thing is, if the game isn't fun. You know, and if it doesn't hook you, then you know what's the point? Doesn't matter who's in the game. You know,
I completely agree.
Greatest characters in the world, but if the game is not great, then that's what's going to happen. Anyway, I didn't want to go on too long-winded about it, but that's basically.
Well, no, but it's a thing, you know. And the one thing we didn't really talk about, and shame on me, is you know see people in the chat saying Mooch. The other thing that really bothered people with XDefiant was that the developers they lied, right? They're saying they lied. Now I don't have the text in front of me, so I don't want to say that they lied. I don't know if they lied, but they basically said they're not going to shut it down. Then they did. It was something to that extent. So I don't know if that
probably wasn't the developers. Like, I don't think that would be a thing where you could say, "Oh, they lied." I think that was the developers saying, "Listen, we're going to keep this game going." This and that.
Right? They want to keep their baby on life support, right? They want to keep going.
Right. The suits come in and say, "We're shutting it down." So it doesn't matter what the developers say. At the end of the day, the suits call the final shot.
That's correct.
So you know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of people at my work who said, "Oh, we're doing this," and then I walk in the room and I'm like, "Sorry, guys, we're doing that." You know what I mean? It's just the way that's just the way it is, and it's not because I want to. I have bosses too. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it, right? So that's it, Meg. You want to keep a dish on the menu, okay? And you make it exquisitely, but the consumers are not buying them as fast. Like your boss is
It's
going to say
gone.
it's gone. It's off.
Right, it's gone. And then, like, I mean, I'm in a different situation now out of the restaurant thing, but yes, the idea is there, like, where people are like, oh, we're going to implement this and that and the other,
Yeah.
while we're doing our operation, and then I have to come in. I'm like, no, you're not. My boss says we're doing this, that, and the other. That's what's happening.
No, you're really not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like, that's how it works. At XDefiant, same thing. So,
and that's the outcome of competing priorities at a higher level when you've got multiple studios in those big, and that's why these big, you know, as you said, Mag, 1 minute they're saying the devs and the studio team, as far as they're concerned, is still going. You're not going to tell someone it stops, and then leave them hanging in the lurch as to what the hell's going on next. So they say it's going. Upstairs make the decision. They come down a couple of weeks later and say, right, turn it all off. You guys are going here. The rest of you are out the door.
Exactly. And those decisions they're not made just on a whim. These are things that are discussed for weeks as they watch the engagement numbers, they watch what's coming in, they watch what people are spending on microtransactions.
Microtransactions is big.
Right, and then they have weekly meetings about this. The developers have no idea what's going on, or very little anyway. Maybe a mid-level manager might have an idea, but when you're dealing with the corporate structure, a lot of these conversations do not make their way down the chains. That's not how it works. And then what does go down the chain is the final call. And then when the final call comes in, you'll get the email, and then that's when you're like, oh shit, okay. Now we know what's going on. And that's how it is. I mean, the communication is very poor. That's always the way it is. But that also because it's none of their business, to be quite honest. So what ends up happening is like, listen, you're hired to do this job. You're going to do that job. If we find that it's not working or whatever, we're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it. We're going to put it through its paces. And then we're going to make a decision from there. And then when they come in, unfortunately, guys, this is just not working out. That's all there is to it. So in that respect, I'm not going to blame the developers on that one.
No,
but this is coming from Ubisoft. I don't have.
I
really do have to leave, but Ubisoft has bigger problems.
Meg, and I know you say you got to go, but real quick though, and I like to use the restaurant as an example though. Okay, like except for pizza. Okay, except for pizza because I think two pizza places next to each other can make a lot of money actually. But hear me out. You can't have the same dish. If me and you are chefs and we want to open up, I definitely wouldn't want to open up next to a restaurant and have the same menu. If I'm and this is a question. This is not critiquing. I'm asking the question to the XDefiant developers. If we're sitting there and we're making this game and they made a good game, but I would turn around to everybody and be like, guys, this exists. This already exists. How are we stealing people to our platform? How are we bringing them over here?
You're not.
So, but when you're talking about developing time and money and pitching this to the suits, does nobody ask that question? Like,
that's the thing because you're wasting a lot of resources and finances.
It happens a lot too. You might go, well, Mooch, it's one time. Calm down. It's not one time.
But devil's advocate. I'll play devil's advocate on that though. The problem is when you take these, because it's always structured, you take them up for consideration and you will be standing there with your little project and your document in your hand with about a dozen other people. And they need to make a decision about what they're investing in because the shareholders want to know what the hell you're spending the money on. If you've got the best out of that dozen and it's a bullshit idea to begin with, you've still got the best out of that dozen. They will back it because it's not a question of go away and try again. It's a question of, well, we got to spend the money on something.
Right.
And that's the problem. If you've got, the best of a bad bunch, you're going to get the nod. That's the issue with the bigger companies and why you see them pour, Jim Ryan did 10 live service games and that was, we're going to do 10. And they've knocked 6 of them on the head so far because they've gotten to a point where they've then decided, well, we're not going to pursue that because either the market's not there, the game's not good enough, or we want to avoid another Concord disaster. But they've had a couple that have stuck. But if they were the best ideas that were presented at the time, no wonder they backed them.
Right.
Look at what we've got coming down behind that. Because they would have already said yes to Wolverine and Ghost of Yotei and the next, whatever was going on. The success of Astrobots probably bumped Ratchet and Clank right up that list.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Absolutely.
The other thing that's... Sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, you're right. I was just going to cap off by saying it's always what's available at the time, not what does the market need or want, because as was pointed out before by Mag and Wise, you might be 4 or 5 years away from hitting the delivery point, and who knows what will happen between now and then.
There you go. And the other thing is that's interesting is sometimes, and it's been mentioned before by the Sony brass specifically that sometimes all you need is that 20% to hit in order to finance the 80% that gets launched, right?
Yep.
So that's another thing that, when they talk about taking risks, they talk about we get this IP moving forward and it becomes a big franchise. Well, that is what funds, and the same thing with Hollywood. It's the same idea. You get one tentpole film will actually fund a lot of these smaller projects.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and then like you get like more. Yeah, right. You get like Warner Brothers doing what they're doing. They get one big tentpole film out there, and then what does that do? That finances all the horror films, all the comedies, all the romantic comedies, all the whatever, right? And the smaller films, a thriller, this and that, and so that's what funds the rest of those projects. Same thing in the video game industry. All it will take was just one to make it. If you can get one that, like, look at what again, I'm going to bring up Helldivers 2. Look at the tremendous success of Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
That can fund 4 more titles for the rest of that year that start development. I mean, you won't see them for another 4 years, 5 years, however, but it did fund those projects.
That's
right?
that's a great point.
Keeps moving everything forward.
Yeah.
And so that's why they continue to take those risks. I know we could look at it and say, why the hell do they keep doing this? They keep doing this because all you have to hit is it's like baseball. Like baseball, what's a great batting average? Is 300.
Right.
If you actually think about it, that's really shit.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great.
That means that you can only hit the ball 30% of the time. That's garbage.
Yeah, but people don't realize that the ball's coming at now on an average, usually above 95 miles an hour. It has a sinking 30-degree pitch from the point of where it leaves the mound to when it reaches the glove of the catcher. It's unbelievable, Mag.
Yeah, no, true. But
you're right. But you're right. If you look at statistics, that's a low number.
But
in terms of numbers,
that's
what's
low.
Considered successful.
That's right.
If I were to go to school, or if I were to go to my job, if I performed at a 30% success rate, I would not have a job.
You would
tomorrow.
be fired. Yeah,
you know what I mean. But the thing is, it doesn't work the same way in that respect. So
that's a great example, like the baseball example. Go ahead, Wise.
It's kind of funny.
It's great,
guys. I have to go. I have to go.
All right, Meg. All right, Meg. You get off the hook on the. I'm just going to go down real quick, but Meg, great to have you here, Meg. Plug anything you'd love to plug. Great to have the great Meg here with us tonight. Great show, by the way.
It was a great show tonight, gentlemen. I had a great time, good time. And listen, if anybody goes and tries that Indy Jones, let me know how it is. But I'm gonna go tomorrow night. I'm gonna go stream that Marvel Rivals tomorrow night on my channel, the Mag Show. So we'll see. I'm gonna see how this thing is. But anyways, gentlemen, have a great evening. Have a great night. We'll talk all real soon.
Great, Mag. Great to have you here. Wise, go ahead. Then we'll do the speed round real quick, and I'll let everybody go and enjoy some video games.
No, see, it also works in the opposite direction too. So, like, say for example, you got a game like this that's barely breaking even, or maybe even losing a little bit of money. If you have a company that's hemorrhaging like Ubisoft is, all of a sudden this game is now on the chopping block because they can no longer afford any hemorrhages of any kind, whether they're small or big. So, that also works on the opposite end, that if you don't have a lot of successes, then something like this that might not be hemorrhaging that much might just be cut because it is hemorrhaging nonetheless. So, that's all.
No, I agree with you. And there's so many things that they bank on. We touched on microtransactions and things of that such. Free to play, it demands people buy a battle pass or skins or, bundles or expansion packs. And if the game is even getting maybe decent player numbers, right, Wise, but people are not buying that extra content, it's out. It's gone.
It's out.
It is gone.
And see, the thing is that this game was a decent game, but I think that a lot of Ubisoft's problems are not this game's problems. And that's what I think is at fault here. A lot of people are looking at this and saying, oh, okay, Ubisoft is sort of, using this as their scapegoat, right? Like, whoa, this is one of the main reasons we are hemorrhaging. No, you're hemorrhaging money because you've not been listening to the player base for God knows how long. You're making bloated fucking games. Nobody wants these games. The games that we've been asking you to make out, you've not been making. And now you're wondering where all your money's went. Yeah. So, like, come on now. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure this out, right?
No.
That's part of the reason why they want to take it back to being private, because they've dropped so much value on their market that they can't attract capital investment into it because of those fundamental problems. XDefiant was a $40. It doesn't even have to be a $70 AAA game. If it was sold as a $40 game that had a single player availability to it as well as co-op, and it could have survived. They could have just let it go, see what it is, and then move on to the next thing. But again, because it requires that server space and the server capacity and the teams to constantly maintain the damn thing. It's like owning a prestige sports car. Every time you turn the thing on, you're basically committing to fixing something. And it costs a fuckload of money to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. Well, I'll do a speed round here, guys. Except for everybody here, it's getting later, except for David. David's about to enjoy lunch, or maybe a late lunch. Real quick, I want to go, Brap.
Yes.
Brap, I'll go down. I'll start with you, Brap. I wanted to talk a little bit more about it, but we are well past the 2-hour mark here. Forza Horizon 4 leaving Game Pass. We know why it's leaving Game Pass. I believe it's probably due to music and licensing. But just a quick question for you, and everyone's going to get a chance to give their 2 cents on it. Brap, real quick. Is this another situation where it's like Microsoft should have to do whatever they have to do to keep that in there, keep that license, buy that license back? But, they've made so many promises with Game Pass, and the one that is the strongest is our first-party games will stay in there. And I know a lot of people don't care, but I saw a lot of the Xbox folks posting pictures of their year-end, and a lot of people were still playing Forza Horizon 4. So, just quick question, is that something that they should make a priority? Is it a broken promise, or this is really just not a big deal? It's just got to go because licenses are due.
I mean, me personally, I'm not a Forza guy, so I don't care.
No, I know you don't care. I mean more about the actual model,
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Forza fan, yeah, I mean, I can see why this is disappointing. And, look, business is business. If it doesn't make financial sense for them to, to pay those licenses, they're probably not going to do it. I get the business decision behind it, but I think it would be a nice thing to do for the gaming community, for the Forza community. But I could also see, I could understand the business reasons behind it too, So.
Yeah. No, I get that too. I guess, David, I'll go to you real quick. It's a lightning round here. Just want to get a couple of topics that I had out there. David, is this a big deal or this is just business as usual?
It's part of the new norm. And there might be other ulterior reasons for it, but sometimes licenses just can't be renewed. It's sad, but game preservation aside, you've got other Forzas available to play. The licensing is unable to be reset, or they can't acquire it. If it's to do with music or something like that, it may be unattainable. So it's unfortunate, but again, this is the downside of games in service and streaming.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it across the board, David. I'm kind of glad you put it that way. We're seeing it across the board. We're seeing that in Netflix. You see that in the HBO. Well, HBO is one of the ones I think that holds on to it the longest. But yes, I am seeing that through all of my subscription services that we're all kind of forced into getting as far as entertainment goes and different media. Wise, what do you think? Were you disappointed to hear that Forza Horizon 4 is leaving, or you were like, no, we've been down this road before and we'll go down that road again?
Is it a scummy thing? Of course it's a scummy thing whenever a game leaves. But, I mean, what can you do? This is just the new norm, basically. Well, just when you thought you owned your games, here you go. That's how much you own your games. There you go.
And you always wonder, too, before you speak. It makes me stop and think when you say that, Wise, because I wonder, even when we buy our digital content, even when we buy our digital content, I do feel like that's more possession, of course, than renting on a subscription. But at any point in time, that can be removed from you. All it takes is the company to go down, the servers that are holding.
All I can say is I got a disc. I got a Dreamcast disc with Crazy Taxi, and there's The Offspring in the first songs of it. So, and it still plays. So, yeah. There you go. And
now that you mentioned that, it's probably going to be decommissioned in about a week. But nonetheless, so shout out to Wise for ruining that for all you Dreamcast owners. We'll go real quick here. Back to Brap. Brap, real quick, want to hear your take on this. It's a rumor, guys. It's a rumor. Valve may be preparing Steam OS to third-party hardware manufacturers. What does this mean for all platforms? Because originally it was like, well, Microsoft's going to link up with Steam and they're going to do this. If Steam does this, they may want to put Steam everywhere, Brap. What does that mean? Does that mean anything to you? Or does this rumor make no sense to you because Valve wouldn't want to do it?
I mean, getting Steam on more devices works for them, right?
I would think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what devices are going to, I can't imagine that we would see a Steam app on a PlayStation.
I don't think so, but on an Xbox, I could see it.
I could see, yeah, Xbox. I could probably see that more likely happening than PlayStation. But, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what other devices. I mean, to me that probably resonates a little bit more with the handheld space.
Yes,
where I could see them doing that. Having the Steam OS, but not home consoles. At least not PlayStation. Let's see that.
Not PlayStation, of course, not Nintendo. So I don't want to leave that out because someone goes, "Well, you didn't even mention Nintendo." But Xbox putting their games day and date wrap on Steam, so Xbox might be willing to forfeit that percentage if you buy it on their box, because who cares? They're going to get a larger percentage. They're going to get 70% of it anyway. They'll get 70% of that even if you bought it on the Steam store.
Yeah, I guess the Steam thing's kind of interesting because, Xbox has its own store. Why would you want to sell your games and compete with Steam? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Let me ask you this, Brap, and Mooch as well. What is the difference between what Xbox is trying to do and what Steam already is?
Right.
There's no difference between what Xbox wants to achieve and what Steam already has achieved.
Well, not what Xbox wants to achieve in Steam. It's what Xbox wants to achieve and Xbox is currently practicing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
I think what Steam is doing is Steam is making this client so that Xbox's next console, I bet, has the Steam client on there. So Steam and Xbox are going to just play buddy-buddy with each other because they're basically the same company doing the same business model. If you
can I ask you, so Wise, here's my question to you. Doesn't that just make the Xbox a Steam box?
Basically, it makes the Steam box the Xbox. So
it basically really takes. I mean, it basically makes the Xbox a home PC, like like a mini PC, basically.
Correct.
Open. I mean, it's an open platform. It's not closed anymore.
Right.
So I guess I just answered my own question.
So at that point is Xbox at that point, if that marriage was to really exist within the Xbox now on the Xbox platform for their next piece of hardware, does that make Xbox a third party platform at that point, or at that point I shouldn't say that. Does that seal the deal for Xbox games to go everywhere day one, period?
Or even better, what a more important question could be is like this. Okay, so say for example, Xbox does have the Steam client on their console. So you now know you got PC games coming day and date to Xbox. You got Xbox games coming day and date to PC and Xbox, and you got PlayStation games on potentially a future Xbox console through Steam. So does that make the Xbox box a more compelling offer than even the PlayStation? Now that you can get all of consoles games on at one box.
Well, be careful because you're right, but you left a piece of the pie out. Wise.
Well.
The games for PlayStation won't hit there for 12, 24 months.
Well, 12 months, yeah. But if you can look at that, does that make it? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mooch, real quick. I got to go. I told Forte and Slomo I'd jump on their show real quick.
Oh, okay. Tell Forte and Slomo I said what's up, by the way, please.
Yeah. But hey, great to be here. Mooch, I don't know. I got to look at my schedule next week. I'm coaching.
Yeah. I know you're coaching, but not on Thursdays, Brap. If you're the coach, you can move the practices.
No, I can't. I'm the assistant coach.
Oh, wait a minute.
So he has no power.
Yeah, I have no power. And I can't move the practice because it's based on the availability of the gym space that we use. So that's the other thing.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm lobbying for Thursdays off. Let me know how your schedule looks.
It's great to be back.
Great to have you back, Brap. We missed you.
Yeah, I know. It's been too long. So
yes,
great show. But thank you.
Yes, Brap. Thank you, buddy. And I'll plug the channel as well at the end. Don't you worry about it. I got you covered, buddy.
All right, Falky. All right, wise little gamer. I'll catch you guys.
All right,
I need to get you on my podcast one night on one Friday whenever you're open.
Telling you, those Fridays are tough. Wise, trust me. I did it for about 8 years. It's tough. Maybe actually make it 10. It was 10 years.
One in, I would really appreciate it, though.
You
have to give me one somewhere.
We got to pop in on Wise, absolutely. So, Falky, I guess I'll go to you. What do you think? Yes. I mean, is it because Wise says, okay, there's your all-in-one box, right? But I don't think it's that. And I also heard, Wise, I forgot to mention this too, but David, I'll ask you the question. David, the one thing I'm seeing online, because a lot of people were like, well, geez, if it becomes an all-in-one box, in that essence, like you said, even if you don't mind waiting, but PlayStation may not allow you to play it on said box. Is that true?
It will come down to who's in the room when they make the decisions. It would almost be not a nonsensical thing to say this will never happen if
correct
tomorrow Xbox says no more hardware straight away that opens the door for, well, where are they going to put their software? Well, you would go to the major platform.
Mm.
Who's the major platform? Well, we now need to cut a deal with PlayStation, and we've got plenty of games, and we've got control over some of the big games. We're contractually and legislatively required to do things because of the Activision deals, but the outcome will be we're not competing in hardware. We're going to go through your ecosystem. We want you to sell and promote and do X, Y, Z. Treat us as you would a normal third-party publisher. Let's get a good relationship going. Here's a shirtload of games to sell on your platform through your storefront. We only want to pay 20%, not 30%, because of the volume we get through, and we want to put Game Pass on, and you can have 20% or 30% of take out of that subscription fee. The trade-off will be Sony would likely say, well, that's fine, but you can't put any third-party games that we're selling in your subscription service because we obviously have our own subscription service. Which would mean you'd probably get no Xbox studio games. You might get Activision and other ones, but there'd be no Xbox studio games in PlayStation subscription service. It would be in the Game Pass subscription service. And that gives Xbox the opportunity to put more they can be the publisher and put the games in that service. But that gets them a crap load more exposure, and it helps satisfy Sony by having a revenue stream without the associated cost. That's the pathway forward, but the trade-off to that is Sony would expect Xbox's hardware to just cease.
I was going to say they would want Xbox's hardware to just not exist, and they would be the console of choice. Period.
Yeah, and they would just have to stop, and then it's just PlayStation and Nintendo doing their thing. Now, is that a viable outcome? Well, at some point, because Sony puts all their PC stuff on through Steam, so Microsoft gets nothing out of that. So there might be some horse trading there around, well, when you launch some of your games, can you not put them all through Steam? Can you put some of them through, the next 2 or 3, make a Microsoft Windows version so we can run it through our cloud streaming PC or something like that? There's opportunities to trade here where everyone benefits. They just need someone in charge, or those in charge in the room when they make these decisions, to look at the bigger picture of everyone's getting something out of this, not how do I fuck you over so that I destroy you and I look good. The race to the bottom is not going to be beneficial for any of us. We've already seen what that may look like with that potential consolidation point a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
And see, therein lies the thing, right? Like a lot of people all want to, on both sides of the camp, want to talk about like the other team losing in order for their team to do well. And I don't think that's possible. I think that in fact, we need all three console makers to be firing on all cylinders to get the best out of it. Because if Xbox falters, I know PlayStation has the market lead, but you get the cocky PlayStation again, and more cocky than they normally are. And the cocky PlayStation is not the good PlayStation.
Well, it's funny we say that, and I know exactly what you mean, Wise, and we've been saying that, in the community for the better part of a decade. But a lot of times when we talk about that, we are referring back to the old PS3 days. And the thing is that Sony is not the same Sony in charge anymore. They basically got out of a ton of different business structures in the past, since PS4 kind of launched. The PlayStation is their bread and butter. They can get as arrogant as they want. I always feel the market will dictate what they can and cannot do. So they don't have that wiggle room. And David, tell me if I'm wrong, please. I have no problem here. But where they used to be an absolute giant in TV, phones, real estate, they sold a lot of that, and they've become much smaller. How do I want to put it? Much smaller emphasis in those respected areas. And PlayStation is their bread and butter. I don't know if Sony has the ability to be that arrogant when it's the how much of PlayStation right now is Sony dependent on. David, do you know?
PlayStation is 50% of their entire revenue.
Yeah, that's. I mean, listen, you can tell me I'm wrong, David. That's a lot.
It is. So the outcome is PlayStation itself generates more revenue and more money in the bank, and that's not profit. Money in the bank is different to profit. PlayStation generates more revenue, overall revenue, and money in the bank than music and movies combined. And when you pull their banking and financial services out, it's even more. It's like 60-something%. It's nearly 2/3.
So David, just to interject quickly, why with David's information given right there, my point is they don't have the ability to be that arrogant company, because I don't know if they can afford to take the losses they lost in the PS3 era, at the beginning of the PS3 era again. Not right now. I don't think. Again, we're on a podcast. We do our reading. We remember the past. We forecast the future, right? That's what's fun about podcasting. But I don't think that can necessarily happen. A lot of people said that the PS5 Pro was never going to move. I think the number. Listen, did it sell 10 million units? No. Did it do better than I think than the media was giving it credit for before it launched? I think it met their expectations. Whatever that is. What that number is, I don't know. But as we said earlier when we were talking about the suits have a number in mind. And if they meet that number or do better, the suits are happy. So, David, that's all I'm trying to say. Does my case hold water?
Yes.
Oh, that was
agree.
Okay. It's not to say that I'm right. I'm just saying that that's my only rationale with that. I don't think Sony has the ability to be the arrogant Sony of the PS3 era, not in today's day and age.
So I will agree with you on they don't have the ability. I would disagree and say that they do have the capacity to be arrogant.
Interesting. Okay.
However, they would suffer really quickly, and given how exposed they are with the US studios being stupidly slow to get anything out the door at the moment.
Yeah.
The amount of money that's tied up over there, one wrong move from any of those studios, and you could see a massive capitulation of that entire division. So that's why they're trying to branch out and supplement with remakes, remasters, and TV shows and whatnot. But yeah, they certainly I would say they wouldn't have the ability, but they certainly lack. They certainly do have the capacity to do it. They still don't have that huge financial backing. They've got safety nets, but they can't lean on it.
And in many ways, PlayStation is more at the same time. Their IPs are more the most stable they've ever been, but the most unstable at the same time. As you said, their IPs are all big juggernauts, and they will sell when they come out. But the problem is they don't come out as often as we would like them to come out.
So, that Wise, I like how you ended your statement. You said we don't like how fast they come out. If you go back and look at it, history always repeats itself. Everybody has short-term memory in the gaming industry. I've been saying this forever. Go look at the PS4. Okay, the PS4 came out in, I believe it was 2013, correct? November 2013. It was 2016, 2017 when they really started hitting their stride. We were saying 2015 was one of the driest years for Sony that they could remember, right? So
yeah, I remember when it launched. It launched with a bunch of indie games.
Yep, indie. The whole thing. Remember, they had a lot of the indies on stage. They brought them all out. They danced and paraded them around. My point being is that Sony's kind of doing the same thing now. Sony's getting a lot of slaps on the wrist because of the risks they took that didn't pan out. Concord being one of them. But then they also get praised and carried out on our shoulders when we talk about Helldivers. Pardon me, Helldivers 2. So with every risk, you're going to have this reward, or you're going to falter. But my point is that, like you just said, I think the second half. And David, you read all of the quarterly reports. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the chief financial officer had said you won't start seeing our first party IP till first quarter or second quarter 2025. Well, I'd like to say, folks, we're at the starting line, right? Mm-hmm. So. Now let me ask you this. If 2025 has 2 games, 2026 has 2 games, 2027 has two or three big games, and then 2028 it's the PS6. Remember, with the short-term memory we all have, you're going to say the PS5 had a great generation. Mm-hmm. And because that's what you're going to remember the last 3 years. PS4, the last 3 years is a lot of the games we talk about. Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, The Last of Us Part 2. Right? Those all came out the latter half of PS4. So,
But see, that's what I'm thinking. Going with what Layden said earlier this week, he said that we need to invest in smaller experiences. And that's where I think Nintendo really does well with their IP. They have their major tentpoles, their 3D Mario's, their 3D Zeldas, but then they also release the smaller variations of those games as well. Like they just released Mario Wonder or this Legend of Zelda Over the Top, and they sold well. So I think what PlayStation needs to be doing.
This last Zelda, which by the way, I thought the last Zelda looked great, but it didn't sell that well, and that's the thing. So when you stop and look at it, but I still think it did well enough. But when you look at like Marvel's Miles Morales, that's a smaller game based, right? But what happened when it came out? Everybody kind of was like, it's not even a full game. What are they doing?
And see, so that's the thing. That's the double edge that we have with PlayStation, right?
Right, so you can't really win, right? So it's like you go make smaller games, and it's not the big game. But then when you make only big games with large duration of time between it, so like, why aren't you making smaller games? Well, it is what it is. I think you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. In the businesses at all, not Sony. Microsoft gets that crap too. Nintendo gets that crap too. So it's like I know where you're coming from, and I know where Sean Layden's coming from, because I think that would give a steadier flow of video games and be more cost effective. So Sean's right. I saw a couple of people saying, well, if the games are going to be shorter and smaller, does that mean they're going to be cheaper? Well, probably not.
Hell no. PlayStation after all.
Point of interjection. So Sean's talking about the industry as a whole, right? He's not talking about PlayStation specifically. Or
Correct.
Nintendo specifically, right?
Thank you for specifying that, David. Yes.
No, that's all right. I would draw the attention to what has PlayStation done this year that has made it be in the talk of this is one of the best years ever for PlayStation in terms of games available.
Well, they've got weirder IPs, more different, more eclectic IPs mixed up. And that's what we've been wanting.
How many of them were built by PlayStation? How many of them were first party?
They were third party. You had Rebirth. You had Stellar Blade, right?
Yep.
Helldivers 2, which is, I mean, that's their IP, but not they don't own the developing team.
Yep. So they've had 2 first party games launched this year. One was Concord, failure.
Yeah.
For multiple different reasons, but there's plenty that can be dragged out of the ashes from that thing.
That's right.
They got Astrobot this year.
Astrobot,
massive hit. And they published a couple of others, but they didn't necessarily own them, right? They weren't built first party. So Sony's main business model is over 75% of its revenue comes from third party sales. And if the issue is that it costs too much for first party studios and AAA studios within these platform holders to build these massive games, they take forever, as we've just been discussing. What's the logical outcome? You get third party to backfill your catalog. And the amount of work and people that PlayStation have engaged with their third-party partnerships and second-party deals is that actually outnumbers the amount of people they have in their first-party studios now. And Shuhei and Shauna Benson and Greg Rice and XDev and all of those teams are just hauling ass to make sure that any games being created that they can conceivably get their hands on come to the platform. And that's where that benefit comes when Sean says that AAA game is about the go bust. He's not wrong because of the stupid budgets and costs that go into making those high-polished, high-end games. But you can see from some of the AA stuff that's been out since the PS5 and Xbox Series X has launched, and you can see from the amount of games that go on Steam, a AA studio with 2 or 3 dozen people in it, or an indie studio with 2 or 3 dozen people in it, or a AA studio that's 100 people around that, developers, and they contract and keep it, like the one I was talking about earlier, 200 people, and they're looking at a 10-year plan for that game, and they're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars out of it, and it's not got a huge overhead. It's the overheads that are crushing AAA development.
Because like Spider-Man 2, however good that game was, it is not a $400 million game. I'm sorry, it didn't play like a $400 million game.
But that's the trade-off there is, if you've got more startups, and the back end of this consolidation thing that's happened is, yes, we've had a heap of layoffs, but look at how many new startups we've got. Look at how many are outside of that corporate bubble where the risk-taking can be improved. Ubisoft won't build us the games we want because they think there's too much risk in it, that we will just say it's boring, we won't play it. So they play around the edges and give us crap that we don't want. But if you've got a team of people who know what they're doing and they can get some funding. They don't need hundreds of millions of dollars, but they can get some funding, get the tools to make the thing quickly. And all of a sudden they're not, top shelf polished games, but a AA game that plays well with a couple of little bits on the side. I was chatting with 50 Game yesterday. PS1, PS2, we used to laugh about the jankiness of some of those games. We used to enjoy the little glitches that would come in some of those games.
That was the character of the
days,
game.
Yeah.
Polished to within an inch of its life, and it's dull and boring and mundane. So, yeah, the cost of with what Sean's saying about the massive cost, that'll be resolved by not necessarily shorter games, because there is a part of the market that demands those highly polished graphical. I want to play a moving picture in real life of my TV. They want that, and that costs money. But that's where the AI tools will kick in and help reduce that cost. I'm not convinced it will, because when you hear about what they're talking, putting modular nuclear reactors in to power the AI data centers, that's not going to be a cheap solution.
No, it's not cheap at all.
You're better off to throw manpower at it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, Sean's definitely going on a branch and said this a few times in a few different interviews. I don't think he's wrong. We're seeing that, but that goes to your point, Wise, that it's staggered between big budget releases, And so, David made a point. He made a point to mention this year in Sony. But when I turn around and say, okay, big budget games that Xbox released, you'd say probably Starfield, right? You'd say Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5, and I guess now Indiana Jones, right?
And Motorsport, and that what was that? That Flight Simulator as well. So
yeah, you know what I mean. But that's across the generation. When we were talking about PlayStation, we only spoke of this year. So I think that's like it is what it is. It's interesting because I see a lot of people saying that we're going to see less of these big blockbuster games, but like Wolverine, GTA 6, Ghosts of Yotei these are going to be big games in 25, right? And we've got other games. You got Borderlands 4. I can't. By the way, guys, I mean, listen, if you guys aren't following me on Twitch, again, shout out to James Vincent who's listening. Me and James are going to be having a ton of Warzone content, like religiously, starting probably early 2025. He's getting his whole setup going. I'm redoing my office for a whole new setup. For streaming, and I'm going to have a lot of Borderlands 4 content. Like, I just think that I'm excited for that. But I mean, like, I think 2025 is going to go down. We always say 2007 was one of the greatest years. I'm hoping. I mean, fingers are crossed that the games are as amazing as the titles lead us to believe. I think 2025 is going to be something quite special.
And hopefully Fable hits on all cylinders.
Fable
when it
too.
comes out too.
Yes,
So,
but we didn't hear Fable's 2025, did we?
No, there was the rumors, but that's
no. I believe I could see that, but 2025 is filling up quick. So if the game's ready, they'll launch it. If there's any doubt, they'll wait, and if they wait, I'm fine with that. 25 is already jammed. But I'm not you guys know, if you guys have been listening to me for 11 years, I'm not a huge Fable fan. So if Fable came out at the same time as something else, I would probably, and you have Avowed coming out in February, which that's going to be a whole nother category. I will say this though, guys, we have an outstanding show tonight. That was a great show. Outstanding show. I want to say thanks to David for being here. Thanks to Wise too for staying the entire time. I know we ran quite late tonight. But I do want to say thanks to everybody. You guys in the chat are awesome. Mary Wilcox, JC 2013. Shout out also to Blessed Red. Blessed was out there fighting the good fight. Shout out to every one of you guys. Chad Stud. By the way, Chad Stud also, David, just so you know, Chad, it seems, I think he's another, I hope I'm saying it right, Australian, Aussie. And I think it's really cool. You guys, is that a tradition that you guys, I was watching a show and there was two Australians that met each other and they were in the States in the show. And the minute that the one person found out that the other person was from Australia, before no hesitation, just said, good day. Do you guys say that like as a matter of fact? Is that like your what's up?
Yeah. We
I have to ask
all the time.
Yeah.
Very common.
It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. I don't know. I was like, I got to ask David if that's just something they say all the time. But it was really, well, it was a comedy that I was watching, and it happened to have two Aussies, and it was fantastic. Fantastic
Do y'all
show.
have an Outback restaurant down there? I got to know.
Oh, stop.
I have an Outback restaurant. Get the fuck out of here.
Wait a minute. Wise. You know what? They don't have an Olive Garden in Rome. Okay?
They don't. That's the shit I want to know.
They don't have an Olive Garden in Rome.
That's what I want to know.
These are the things. Wise, you should start a show just on that.
Yeah, these are the things. These are the thought-provoking things that go through my mind at midnight.
Things I want to know.
Exactly.
By Wise.
The things you must teach those kids, Wise. The things you must teach.
Can you imagine, David? I would say this, though. You must be the coolest teacher, period, in that school. I don't care, Wise. Maybe I'm biased because I know you, but I got to tell you, you got to be one of the best.
My college classes, whenever they put me down, so I'm still a junior professor, so I don't get to choose my classes. I get chosen for by the head of my department, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they put my name down to a class, it always fills out immediately, and I'm always like going back and having to fill out forms and with students and filling it like, okay, yes, you can take my class. Yes, you can take my class. Yes, you can take my class. And it's annoying, and it annoys the head of my department too, because I'm the only person who has it, and I'm like, why don't y'all just pick somebody and put it in there? Why do y'all have to use me all the time? So, it's just annoying, it's just like, oh my God. But yeah, they like it because I bring in all the, because like how many math professors do you know actually play Call of Duty and it can explain math and in terms of Call of Duty and in terms of Minecraft. So yeah, that's why they like it. So.
Well, I would sign up to be in that class immediately. Shout out to Marsh. She says, I've been to Australia and I've never thought about Outback. So there you go. Another just confirmation for you, Wise. Wise, we like to answer questions on this show, so we'll answer any midnight ideas you have. You send them to the Crossfire. We'll get those answered.
Do you want the PG rated ones or the R rated ones?
Well, if they're going to be on the air, I'll take PG-13 and down, please. Thank you very much. Because to be honest with you, I don't know if we can do the R rated ones on YouTube. But your questions are always great. I'll go reverse order here. David, thanks for being here, buddy. I know, like I say, I usually say have a great night and a great evening, but I want to say to you, have a great day. But Dave, I know you're kind of on the clock. Good thing your boss probably might not be listening to Crossfire, but you never know these days. They say you never know who listens. But Dave, great to have you on the show as always. Let people know where they can find you, and listen, love to have you back on the show real soon.
Thank you again for having me and for letting me show up slightly late. You can find me on Twitter at Forky87. You can find me poking around on a few different podcasts. Just keep an eye out. You'll get the notice when I'm popping up, and be good to be on here for this one, and look forward to the next time.
Always great to have you, David. Outstanding to have a professional. As I always say, our accountant in the gaming community, the great David Faulkner, everybody. Wise Old Gamer Wise, let everybody know where they can find you, buddy. Not that they don't. I don't know how they don't know how to find you. You scream from the top of a mountain every week, which I love. Let people know where they can find you. And Wise, listen, I reached out to you. I love to have you on the show even more. I love how you're not only very candid, you're very open about how you want to discuss each topic, but then you expand the topics, which is what I do when I go on shows too, is you take the question and you literally open it up into 27 parts, which I adore. Wise, let people know where they can find you. And thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, I like hyper analyzing things.
Yes.
That's just what I do. That's what I do for my jobs. That's what I sort of bring to my gaming things. And this is what I think about when I play these games. And it's cerebral. Like we don't know for real.
We don't know.
It's just fun to think about that. Fun. It's just something to take the shit off of all the taxes I got to pay, all the bills I got to pay, the freaking kids who fucking hate me. It works. And the wife who's wondering, hey, did I marry the right guy?
That's right. That's right. The question of questions. Yes.
Exactly. After 20 years.
She's still wondering.
Yeah, she's still wondering. I'm like, well, if your boyfriend wants to pay for the bills, you can have one as well. I don't care, It's like, hey, I'm an equal opportunity person.
Now you wonder why I asked Wise PG-13 questions only. No, it's great to have you, great Wise. Wise, tell them about the show tomorrow.
Yes. We have our show Wasted with Wise every Friday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we have a cast of characters on the panel with Lemon, 108 Dragons, with Cerebral Paul, with Darth Praxis, with Triple Combos, Sir X-Men, Mr. Bushido, and people just come in and out, and it's just a really fun time. It's basically Friday afternoon or Friday evening after work. It's a bunch of guys and gals getting together, drinking and talking the shit. We talk about games. We talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. Cause when the alcohol gets flowing, then the mouth gets moving too. So wherever it goes, it goes.
It gets going. Yeah. That's right, dude. Absolutely. Yeah,
and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy that shit. I don't like the serious topics. I just like, sitting around and just shooting the shit and just having a good time and getting my weekend out right. So yeah,
as you should.
If that's down, if you guys are down for that, please join us. We've had Mooch on, and of course, David is a regular as well, even though he may not want to admit it, right?
I usually get asked to show up to talk about something, and then they drag me for an hour, and I get 10 minutes to explain it.
Yep. That sounds about right, Dave.
No, because you see, like, I'm the cerebral person there. I'm the one who is actually thinking they're taking notes down because my stocks are involved here, all right? And all the other motherfuckers are just drinking. Oh, they're drunk. So there you go.
That's so great. No, you guys go over and check out. Life's too short. Go over and check out Wise's show Friday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Outstanding, Wise. Great to have you. I'm gonna do a couple plugs for people that had to leave early. Shout out to the great Brap. Brap finally back after like 3 months. He has been coaching a lot of his kids' teams, and so he's doing that stuff, and it always lands on a Thursday, but I always talk to the great Brap. That's at Brap_podcast. Wednesday nights, he does it at 9 p.m. Eastern. Guys, I do want to bring this up. I should have mentioned it when we had, close to like 350 people here instead of now, but I will say this. Next week, we are going to be doing the show on Wednesday night at 7. So it will be before Brap. We'll be going Wednesday 7 to 9. We'll end at 9. Brap will start at 9 because Thursday's the Game Awards. So, and I also have a function. So I will be at a function after work, and then I will be back in time to enjoy the Game Awards, but I definitely don't want to go live during the Game Awards, naturally. So we'll be Wednesday night next week, 7 to 9. I'll probably tweet it out, and I'll put it all over the channel. You guys will see it in the community notes and everything else. So that'd be great. But shout out to Brap. Shout out also to the great Crap Gamer. He had to leave early. That's _Crap Gamer and Crap Gamer Reviews. Pardon me, I had a cough, guys. I'm just getting over a cold. So luckily I didn't cough all night, which is amazing. Shout out to the great Crap Gamer for being here. Middle Age Game Guy. You guys know him as Mag. It's at Middle Age Game, and then it's GY at the end. Shout out to the great Mag. Go over and check him out there, and he's got his YouTube channel starting up this week. Great to have him on the show. And the great Gaming Forte, who's doing DPS right now. Go over and say what's up to Slow-Mo Backslap and the great Gaming Forte over on DPS Podcast. That's at Gaming_Forte. All right, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday. Next week is Wednesday, then we're back to Thursdays. But next week is Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 9. I'll be putting it all over Twitter. Follow me there. It's Mooch TV. Drop the O's for zeros, M00CHTV everywhere. That's on YouTube, Twitch, and X. So we'll see you guys next week. I appreciate the panel that was here with me. I appreciate the amazing chat. You guys are all amazing. We'll see you guys next week. Go play some games. We'll talk more later. Peace. Good night.
Good night.